Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Technical Difficulties. We are live. Zach, welcome back.
Hello.
Or Max.
Whatever. Sorry, I could change that again.
We can change that a couple times. We can just end the stream and we'll start it over. No one will know this happened.
That's the stream. Technical difficulty.
Yep. All right. Now I'll go ahead and play the intro now since it didn't work.
Hey. Hello there.
Welcome on, player 2.
What's up?
How you doing?
Yeah, just fine, I guess. Little busy with the moving and stuff.
Yeah, you were talking about that this week. Got your own place. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Have you turned it into a complete studio yet?
No, not yet.
Still the same city?
Yeah, still in Munich.
Cool.
Yeah, my new place is just between my mom's and my mom's place and my dad's place.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's affordable. Sorry if I asked this, but Munich is one of the most expensive cities in Germany.
Munich is actually quite expensive, yeah. But it's affordable, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got sick of living somewhere expensive, you know? It's difficult. Arizona's nice that way because it's very cheap.
Nice shirt.
Oops, too much.
Hans is all. I have become Hans.
Obey the Hans.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good right about there. I like that. Yeah, we were talking about you've become a meme.
Yeah, it's actually quite an old picture of me.
Yeah. It's a good looking jacket.
About 2 years old. I mean, my hair is now like there, and back then I had a short haircut and way less beard. But yeah.
You still have that jacket?
Yeah, the jacket is an old jacket from my dad. It's like some jacket from Alpha Industries or something. So just like a bomber jacket.
Nice. It's authentic then.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's why I wear that.
So in a bit, we'll be joined by someone from the FPV community. We're going to chat a bit about the quads and stuff. I've gotten back into that hobby. It's fun. I used to do it all the time, and it's fun getting back into it.
I want to try that one day.
I got out of the hobby when they changed the regulations.
Do you need a license in Germany for FPV or drones in general?
There are all kinds of rules in every country, but
in Germany it depends. If you're sub 250 grams, you need nothing. Above that, you need a number plate or something like that with your name on it and your contact details, I think.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, you then can get a license, which you only have to. You have to say you want a license, and then you get one. You don't have to do anything more. Just pay like $20 or so. And then there's
it's really
another
not too bad. I mean, being under the 250 mark at this point, I mean, you can still have a quad that does 70 miles an hour with a 5-minute flight time, and
Yeah, I was recently looking that up again and thinking about restarting, but too many other hobbies, no time. So,
you can find the time.
Yeah, hard enough to find the time for these streams.
Be interesting to see if you could laser cut some carbon fiber.
Nah.
Laser cut some carbon fiber sounds interesting.
I mean, it is black, right?
Yeah, but it's carbon. If you melt metal or something, you use a crucible made of carbon.
That's true.
It, true. Can withstand the heat, and so I don't think laser cutting would be very good. Also, the resin which is infused into it is not the greatest thing to cut.
I guess they normally just machine it.
Yeah, CNC milling is.
Yeah, that must eat through the bits like crazy, though. You know, like, could you even get through a sheet before your end mill has worn down?
I did not try it yet, but from my understanding, it's pretty abrasive and will it will eat the mill, but at the same time it's easy to mill because it breaks pretty easy if you shear it.
Maybe in certain directions on it.
Yeah,
on carbon.
Yeah, it should cut pretty easy, but it will wear away on your mills.
Let's see. We got Lydia and Helix joining us. Let's bring them in. Hey, welcome on.
Hello.
Oh, and Jake just joined us too.
Come here. How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Talking dog just opened the door and let herself in.
Boot, I'm really digging the Hans chroma effect on your shirt there. That's pretty. Yeah. So what have I missed? What are we talking about?
Laser cutting carbon fiber. Can you do it?
And what's
or
the verdict?
Should you? Probably not.
Why not? Is like inhaling hydrocarbons bad for you or something?
Because it's already carbon, so it's probably really hard to burn because it's already the thing stuff turns into when it's burned.
Yeah, but if you can engrave metal, then I don't think it's necessarily something that's... And you can definitely oxidize carbon because that's how charcoal burns, right?
Yeah. We'd have to give it a try.
Yeah.
Who wants to volunteer their lungs for that experiment?
Not me, man.
I would volunteer my laser for that, but...
we were just talking about nothing pretty much.
Nice. I missed the countdown and everything.
Nothing.
Perfect.
I actually missed the countdown too, so I played it after we started.
We were just having some technical difficulties. It's fine.
Yeah, it happens. We're going to be joined in a bit by a member of the FPV community. We're going to talk about some drones and stuff. Making a FPV ground station, like a place to recharge, a portable workshop, really. Have your portable soldering iron, like USB powered, some basic tools, everything you need to do field repairs, which I think applies to a lot more than just remote control quadcopters. There's oftentimes you need to do field repairs for all of your equipment, any kind of radio equipment, audio, video. Sometimes you snag a wire and rip it, and you just need to fix that up.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for the portable workshop, I guess. Even if it's not necessarily. Oh man, his mouth isn't moving, and now I have chipmunk cheeks. Thank you so much.
It's been that way for a while.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe something cheaper than a Pelican case, but it's still waterproof enough. You're not probably going to drop your kit in a lake because, we usually stay away from water for the FPV stuff. But yeah, a little waterproof case, get a good tool set going, get a good soldering station up, and, whatever else you might need to make it a useful thing. I don't know, cup holder. Cup holders are always good.
They really are, though, for like holding, the precision screwdriver sets, or if you're taking something apart and you don't want it to scatter all over the place, like you need a place to put like a little organizer kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And might as well just 3D print yourself a nice little tray for that.
So in the torso sized ammo can that I have, I've been thinking about not turning it into like a.
Wait, do both ends come off on it?
No, only one side. The other side is hinged, kind of. What I've been thinking about doing.
Both sides open?
What's that?
So both sides do open?
Oh, there's only one opening, but it's not like you can completely remove the lid.
Can you please just put it on like a t-shirt and take a picture?
This is my torso-sized deck. Anyway, no, what I was getting at is that the orientation that a lot of people do the Pi recovery kit, where the lid is actually the keyboard and then all the guts is in what would normally be the bottom. I've been thinking about using this almost like a cabinet where it opens up horizontally. So that way on the flat part, I can have my display, maybe some antennas and USB dongles where I can like switch out antennas for like a Bluetooth or another keyboard or something else. And then on the other side, have an organizer, like how there's those little plastic organizers that you can like stick your wires and components in. Mm-hmm. And then at the very bottom, you have like a pine sill or like a very low requirements soldering iron. So that way, like if you need to do some soldering on the go, you just take it off, open up the cabinet, and then you've got a very rudimentary Cyberdeck there, as well as all the components in the world that you would ever want.
I've confirmed that the pine sill will solder very well off of 12 volts coming off USB-C. This one does 12 volts at 1.5 amps, and it works perfectly fine. It did complain about the low voltage for a moment, but you just have to clear the error message, and pine sill just cranks. It really is the best soldering iron I've ever owned, except for there's absolutely no finger guard, so you can put your hand right past the end of it and touch the hot part. So
there you go. Get the spicy fingertips.
Yeah, I actually did that the other day and found that towards the base of the handle, the metal doesn't really get that hot. It's only a little bit warm, and you could go probably about halfway out on the metal portion without burning yourself. So you could do IRL, that photo of the chick holding the soldering iron wrong, and actually not burn yourself. I think it'd be pretty funny. I might just do it for a laugh, do it in one of these live streams, be soldering, holding the metal part.
So you said it takes 12 volts is on the low end for the pine sill?
It'll do USB-C, and it will run off 9 volt as well. 5 volt doesn't seem to work. It throws up an error and just takes forever to heat up. Or at least 5 volts without enough amps. I have a couple different power supplies I've been running it off of, and I have used it off 5 volts, but it was glitchy. 9 volts worked fine. 12 volts was fine. It'll run up to 20 volts. I also am making myself a little adapter with these XT60 connectors. XT60 to a barrel jack, because it has a barrel jack in the back of it. And then I'll be able to just plug it into a 2S or 3S LiPo pack and, solder using the batteries I'm already using to fly with.
Nice.
Yeah, it saves me having to buy or carry a dedicated pack, because if I don't have to solder that day, cool, then that's just one more pack to fly with. And if I have to solder, then 30 seconds of running, it probably won't even drain much power.
Yeah. Many people I know use a TS100 for that.
For what is a TS100? Is that another portable?
Yeah,
soldering iron.
The TS100 is a portable soldering iron.
Yeah, I personally am a fan of the TS80, which runs on USB.
I didn't actually know there was a difference, that there was a
But it's
TS100.
USB-C.
Huh? What?
It's USB-C.
The TS80 is USB-C, has a aluminum casing, and the tips are a bit special. It's a bit more expensive. Yeah, and you need a compatible power supply, which does quick charge 3, I think. Yeah, the TS100 has more power. Is easier to handle because it takes basically any energy you give it, and the tips are cheaper too. But
Is it this style for the TS100 then?
yeah.
Because this is what the Pine Sail uses from Pine 64. I like it. These things fit. They're a little bit loose. It has set screws that you can use to lock it down, which I have because I pulled the tip right out when the solder blob stuck to something. It was sinking away the heat so much that the solder was hardening before it could melt. And I pulled the tip right out of the soldering iron. So I put the set screws in it. Definitely worth doing. Yeah. It's a nice tool, though. I mean, it was only, $25? So, of course, I bought the tips and the little adapter board, too, that lets you make use of the microcontroller that comes with the Pine Sail.
Yeah.
So if you just want a RISC CPU, an open source RISC CPU to play with, then there you go. You got a full dev board, which is kind of neat. I figure if it ever stops working as a soldering iron, then I will just pull the board out and use it for something else.
Yeah, gotta have a look for that.
Lydia, you've been sitting there quietly with your video goggles on.
Which are hot to wear right now.
Yeah, what are you watching in there?
I'm watching you guys, actually.
Oh, okay. I just figured you had a movie on. Figure you're just watching cartoons over there.
It could be. But I'm actually looking at you guys, which is extra weird because sometimes I lean in to look at what you're showing me.
And you can't lean in. The glyphs look so cool when you can only see the bar. But then when you see the entire case of it, it is massive. So I got my pair last week, and I just couldn't believe how large and heavy this thing is. I don't know how you can wear them, honestly.
They're ridiculous.
They're brutal.
They're so hot.
They're so freaking hot, and they're so heavy. And even with the nice nose piece on it, it's awful. But one of the topics for today was the retinal projectors, and what I have here, it is not finished yet. I've only been working on this for a couple of days. Sorry about the low frame rate, having some technical difficulties here. So if you have a look there, that is the whole module. The entire glyph module is so tiny. If they had just built the case to be small to begin with, they could have fit the entire thing in this tiny little space, even much smaller than this one, because there's a lot of extra room here for the wires, because some of them I can't really cut down. They're very fine pitch, like for the HDMI, and I don't want to mess with that. So I'm just going to wrap them up and shove them in the case. But I've been working on this for the glyph retinal projector. Pretty simple case. Put a couple angles on it so it looks decent. Also to help deflect. If I take a head-on from a quad, I would like it to glance off. So I gave it a slight point. I thought that might help. It also gives a little more room inside. But yeah, all the parts fit just fine. I've got the control board in here. I have a HDMI to composite adapter in here as well, and a voltage regulator. So this will take anything from a 2S up to maybe 2 to 4S battery pack. 6S is probably pushing it. Convert this down to 5 volts and then feed that to the HDMI converter and the glyph. And all that fits in this nice little space. Just think,
did the original have a battery in one of the ears?
Yes, right here. They actually use.
Impressed by its battery life.
Yeah, so they actually used a high voltage cell. So this charges to 4.35 volts, which is what most tablets and some cell phones have in them. They're not really a different chemistry. These are just the ones that come off the factory line that test out better. So this is like the best cell that they got off the line, and they rate it for the higher voltage. It's really not anything different. Those are lies. They just sell us the shitty ones in most consumer products. So it's a 7.83 watt hour, so 2060 milliamp hour, 3.8 volt nominal. And yeah, it does seem to give it a couple hours battery. And with that in mind, at least for this first version of it, I will just power it with this battery because it's a little bit hard to solder the wires on to give it the 5 volts directly. And you also don't want to just shut it off immediately, like by pulling the power. You want to use the soft off that they have because it'll actually reset the DLP lenses to their resting position, which is like in a closed position, because it's a DLP projector. So there's like a million little mirrors inside of it. And if you just kill the power, they're left just kind of flapping in the wind. So that's one of the reasons that the battery is internal and not removable, is they want you to use their soft power down. And then
I had no idea. This thing's actually pretty good.
It's there are 2 DLP projectors inside of it. It's incredible.
That's crazy.
Really, they should have made a like lens adapter that would let you use it as a wall projector. So it had even another feature.
I think it's a little small for that, but
well, no, this is
screen out of it, though.
This is the exact same backlight and DLP you would find in those mini projectors. You know those ones that are about $60 on Amazon?
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what's inside of this.
Short interrupt. I think Helix is back. Looking for attention in the chat.
I'm in full screen, so I can't see any of you guys. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, welcome in.
Thank you. I had to reboot my face.
And now it's working again?
Yeah. No, I don't have the cheeks of.
Let's see. Zach asks if it's really a VRD. I don't know what a VRD is, but it is a legit DLP projector. And I believe it uses a 3-color LED for the color, because if you shift your eyes to the sides, you can see the color shift on the very far edges. You can see it go between like the red, yellow, green, or whatever colors it shifts from.
Oh yeah,
the prism effect.
Right. But you know what? You don't look at the sides, because when you do, you break the focus, because it really is a retinal projector. When you break focus, you can kind of see the image, but there's something just different about it. When you're looking dead on, you really see it, and it is clear. I gotta say, it's pretty amazing seeing a display where there's absolutely no border around any of the pixels. But the resolution is low enough that you do actually see the pixels, like if you're just looking at a black and white image. But yeah, it's quite neat. And since they're on sale now for $120, I think you can have some fun with it. Another piece for this is a miniature DVR. So this little circuit board has a micro SD card that's removable and a single button, and then it's got a pass-through for video. These are actually meant to go on an FPV quad. You put this in between your camera and your video transmitter, and that way you can record your flights directly on the quad, so you don't have all the static when you're recording from the headset. But you also want to be recording in the headset, because if your quad goes down in a bush somewhere, or you lose signal behind a mountain or whatever, you can play back your video and retrace your steps to actually help find it. And this setup here with the glyph has no DVR built in. So this will also be getting added into the mix between the composite to HDMI converter and the video receiver, which is this little block here. And this is going to be mounted up on the side of it.
In terms
this
of
is-
weight, do you save more weight by having that DVR there, or is it easier to put like a GPS beacon somewhere inside that'll just say, "Hey, these are my coordinates. Come pick me up."
It depends. I mean, having the DVR is just nice anyway, so you can watch your flights later, share it with people, force them to watch your flights. So it's fun for that. I don't run a GoPro or anything like that because I crash all the time, and GoPros are expensive. It wouldn't last a single day out flying with me.
I thought they're supposed to be pretty durable, though. They come with like that high impact whatever plastic, don't they?
They're supposed to be, and they can take a beating, but not compared to what you do to them in a freestyle quad.
What are you doing to your quads, man?
Learning to fly them.
Yeah.
That's what. But you can get the replacement plan from Best Buy, which is basically free replacements on it. So if you really are going to fly them a lot and you want to get like a Hero 8 and it's like $900, sure, you can go that route. But I don't fly them, so having the DVR in the goggles is nice. So I can look at my flights later. Yeah, it's nice for diagnosing stuff. But having the DVR on the quad just turns your camera into a camera that's recording. So sure, it's about a 720 resolution and it's analog. So it's 4:3 and not like the best footage, but it's still kind of nice. And I actually kind of enjoy the retro vibe. It's like watching a VHS. But as far as the GPS goes, that doesn't always work. You got to have at least 7 or 8 satellites in range and be locked on. And maybe you forget to lock on before you take off, or maybe you lose connection. Or maybe the DVR on your goggles isn't running and you didn't record the coordinates right before it went down. So GPS is not really, it's not good when you crash. It's not that useful when you crash. It's great if you just are kind of losing signal, your video's breaking up, you press a button and just have it fly back to you automatically. And all of that is fine as long as there isn't like a tree it's going to try and land inside of.
So for the DVR, does the DVR impact the ping time between like
latency? No.
Photon? Yeah.
This one, at least it could. It depends on what you're doing, but this one at least is just a pass through, and it taps into the signal on the way. So it's not taking it in and then rebroadcasting it out. It's just tapping into that composite line.
Okay.
Which you can do on other devices too. It's like I think it's 2 resistors and a capacitor. I've built it before, where you'd want to plug in like an Xbox into 2 monitors, original Xbox over composite, and you want to have 2 monitors next to each other or something like that. But it's kind of a cool setup. So this is like another $20. Add this into the Glyph and the TBS Fusion, which is a diversity receiver. There's actually 2 receivers here. And then it takes a combination of the 2 images and combines them to make one that's better. And you have 2 different types of antennas plugged in, one that's super directional, one that's omnidirectional, so that you hopefully always have a good enough signal to see what you're doing. All in all, this little package of stuff, it's right around $250. And a comparable FPV goggle set will run you about $700. So
it's way cheaper to make that.
It potentially is. Taking apart a Glyph is just frustrating. This was meant to never be disassembled, not for battery replacement, not for anything. It is a one-way assembly. All snaps are one-way snaps that cannot be removed. Everything is glued. The screws are hidden under glued pieces. The rubber is fused to the plastic. The construction was absolutely beautiful and just incredibly complex. I've never seen anything like it for basically what's a set of headphones with projector inside. There were cast metal parts. There was literally every single material off like the periodic table, because you've got everything from lithium to gold inside of this and everything in between. Every kind of plastic, rubber, polyurethane, everything.
Except uranium.
There
Hopefully.
could be. There could be.
Fingers crossed.
There might be some in like one of the clocks, one of the crystals or something in here. It's unbelievable, and I can't imagine that they turned a profit on a single one of these with how complex it is. And if you had to take a return, you couldn't have your guys repair it and resell it. It would be you throw it in the trash.
God.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's
how
maybe
small
that's
it is.
going to
I'm
be the
really
future
tempted
of.
to tear this down and do something else with it, but also hearing how awful it is, disassemble.
I mean, so what I used was a pair of side cutters. I've been told not to call them dikes anymore, but whatever. I used a pair of side cutters, and I snipped away at the plastic, like about 3-4 millimeters at a time, all the way around everything until I was able to take it apart. It took about an hour and a half to do. I wouldn't want to do it again. And there were a couple times where I thought I had slipped and cut like the HDMI wire, which would be very hard to repair. So yeah, that was fun. I don't want to do that again.
Sounds as pleasant as
If someone wants
disassembling an
if someone wants to pay me $1,000, I might consider it, but it's definitely not something I want to do again. But I'm glad that it's done now. And, after having finished the entire disassembly, it was like, oh, okay, there was no way to take it apart. There was no better way. What I did was the correct method.
Sounds almost like it's as unpleasant as disassembling an iMac.
No,
Never
those are
going
a
to
lot
do that
easier.
anymore.
I was actually thinking about Apple the whole time I was disassembling this, and I was thinking, damn, I wish this was an Apple laptop instead.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
now that the whole like right to repair thing is picking up steam, what if the new industry standard is like, okay, sure, you're legally allowed to disassemble and repair your parts, but we'll just
But you
make it
can't.
ultra difficult to disassemble,
Exactly.
or make it
You'll pilot
make it so
Shrek.
like if you do disassemble it, you break some super fragile and completely necessary piece.
I did want to show this too. You guys are gonna have to just like zoom in, but I think it's in focus. It might be blue screening it out. This circuit board inside the glyph, it has a Banksy on it.
Oh, on the silk screen on the PCB.
It says R is for, and then a picture of a robot, which is a Banksy, and this is for the right ear cup, and on the left ear, which I've removed that one because you don't need it. It says L is for, and it has a picture of Lionel Richie on it. And I thought that was funny because this is the most, impossible to disassemble thing ever. No one's ever going to take it apart and see this. You could hide anything in. I mean, I'm probably the only person that's ever pulled these things apart. I've never seen a disassembly or anyone mention trying to repair them or otherwise work on them once they've broken. I've seen people say they threw them in the trash because the armband broke on it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I did tag the company that made these. I thought it'd be interesting to see if even they knew it was in there.
Are they still in business?
Oh yeah, they make all kinds of crazy AR headsets, military stuff, private sector. I would love to get my hands on their new AR system, but it's not a consumer product. It's one of those things where if you have to ask, you can't afford it. So they went from making FPV goggles, and these actually were made for FPV. They were made for the DJI platform. That was their intention. Or just to use it as, to watch porn or whatever. But they did make these for FPV. Yes, on an airplane. They made these for FPV and for the DJI, and then immediately abandoned it and went straight to doing some really complex AR stuff. Definitely worth checking them out. What's the name of it? Avigent, I think. I can't pronounce their spelling. It's some made up thing. But
I can't pronounce it, but that sounds right.
They are pretty cool though. I mean, I'm stoked to see that this module was so small. I was worried there was going to be all kinds of boards, all kinds of stuff in here. I'm not the first person though to try and turn them into a more FPV friendly goggle. I have seen one other attempt, but there's very little detail. It just kind of shows a picture of like the finished product in the video, and you don't really see how he did it. Like, how did he disassemble it? And now I know why he didn't show the disassembly process, because he probably just took a hacksaw to it, and
Did
it
you
was
take
just
pictures?
a mess. Nope. Because you know what? It's not worth doing. Nobody should try and disassemble this. You will destroy them. I've taken apart a lot of electronics. I have experience doing this, and I thought I was going to fail and have ruined, $120 headset. And it took over an hour, and that's just not even really worth the struggle with it. But you know what? It was interesting to just see how they were made. I've never seen anything so over-engineered ever. Every material possible, Teflon, everything. Just they must have contacted every. I mean, I will actually take pictures of the individual components. There isn't much point in taking pictures of the pieces because it's just, broken bits of plastic that have just been ripped apart because there's no way to do it otherwise. Even their speaker assembly, though, I'm probably going to take these speaker drivers and put them into a different headset because they're very well made speakers that sound really good. It's stupid how much they put into this. I wish they had just taken that module, which is so tiny, and put it into a tiny goggle for FPV, like every other FPV goggles on the planet. But I feel like I'm probably rambling on about this one. But it's a fun project, hopefully, maybe someone will be able to do it themselves. Maybe someone has a glyph that the battery has died because they've used it so much, and it's worth, taking it apart and swapping it out. So,
I think I'll wait till I break this one and then I'll take it apart.
Yeah, I mean, why not? The armband on it will probably snap at some point. The craziest part, though, because it doesn't bend, there's no hinge. Like, the amount of space that takes up in a bag, like in a backpack, it's like a full 1 foot square. I mean, it's ridiculous how much space you need to pack that thing with you. They could have at least made them the ear cups rotate so it could lay flat based on the parts that are inside of it.
The ear cups are gigantic too. I mean, look at this.
They are massive. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
like you can't, as big as my head.
So you can't hear with them on. And when you're flying FPV, you really want to know when the quad's flying straight at you. Like you want to be able to hear it if you've lost signal and it's coming at you, or someone else while you're out on the field. And you can't hear shit with those on. I mean, but they're great for watching movies and stuff. I used them to watch some YouTube videos and stuff before I took them apart for about 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, screw this. This hurts my head. The force crushing against your skull is because of these two metal bars that they have inside of it. Again, more over engineering, but a lot of pressure. Looks like we lost Zach there.
Speaking of stuff that gets over-engineered, that is super popular and kind of relevant to
Hey Dan.
That was what was that guy that made the glitter bombs that was getting mailed out to people? And like in his very first video, he was like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to, like, if anyone can over-engineer something, it's a former NASA engineer." And that's how he ended up with like 4 phones. And I don't know. I think I'm leaning more towards like cubic form factors where it's not the traditional like, okay, the keyboard folds out and then it's a more cyberpunk looking laptop.
How about no keyboard? How about you just install like Dragon Speech 2.0 and
Dragon Speech is a nightmare though if you're ever trying to like navigate a file structure.
I'm kidding. I used that in like junior high.
Yeah. And then, I had a buddy that was like, "Yeah, I'm just reading my laptop a story so I can do my homework." It's like, what century are you living on, man? Like, And then you have to do all the edits because how do you really tell it to do punctuation?
No, I know it's useless for any kind of coding. It's great if you want to write a novel, but it is a shame that we can't get away from the keyboard. And that
you bite your tongue. Keyboards are beautiful.
Say what?
Looking at my pile of keyboards in the corner and over there. And
Get him, Lydia. Get him.
Yeah, we need more of Zach Friedman's smart data glove things.
I mean, the Nintendo Power Glove,
I saw one of those for sale recently.
You need a fusion of Zach's data glove and the power glove.
Well, I think you're what was it, like 4 episodes ago when you were just using the hand tracking on your VR. Like that is so cool.
It works, but the main issue is I can't see my surroundings very well because
and they don't allow the video pass through anymore due to security and privacy concerns because limitations to what they.
I haven't updated yet, so I still have it.
Well, then you might want to leave it. I mean, it's not what it used to be. They originally had the ability to really see what was going on, like take a picture from inside an app. But I guess it makes sense that they got rid of that.
What I found out what wasn't possible at all is to take a screenshot from the pass-through mode. So if you're in pass-through and take a screenshot, it's just black, and that's it.
That's interesting.
Because one time I was standing in the bathroom with my VR on, just to try out how it looks in the mirror and stuff.
Sure, man.
Sure, you weren't trying to take a 3D picture of.
Yeah, I was. And the thing is, my clothes are all black, but with the IR, infrared and stuff, my jacket was actually white, while my shirt was black.
Yeah, and probably mostly see-through.
Yeah.
Probably. There we go.
Don't mind me. I'm just assembling this open source watch.
So going back to recording pass-through video, I know that for certain consoles that people want to stream in that don't necessarily have a stream function built in, because I know the PlayStation has a built-in like Twitch integration where you can just log into your Twitch and you can stream PlayStation videos. But like if you want to stream the king of all consoles, the Nintendo Switch, there is no built-in. So like how hard would that be to like make your own?
Very hard, but the capture card I'm using right now.
Player 2's got something.
So the capture card I'm using right now has HDMI pass-through. So I could be outputting the signal from my camera just straight into another monitor if I wanted, if I wanted to actually see myself on a giant screen, which I don't. Hey, MSG has just jumped in.
Hold on, Player 2, what were you holding up?
I was holding up a weird capture card I funded on Indiegogo. It's called I don't know. Genki is the manufacturer, and they also made a switch dock in the size of a power brick. And you got the HDMI over to USB-C, and then you just plug it into the dock, and from the dock you just go via USB-C into your notebook or desktop where you have the software for that, and then you can record it.
I still get the isn't Corsair or someone Elgato that makes something that looks just like that also for stream, or is it a different thing?
Probably Elgato, I think. I mean, streaming is Elgato's main field.
Yeah, that's kind of their bread and butter. Well, that's interesting. I like the fact that you can go directly from HDMI to a USB-C out, because then that lends itself really to a whole bunch of different things. As long as it's outputting in you can output to an HDMI format.
Well, it's going to be a smaller form factor, but it's exactly the same as the capture card I got. I think they all pretty much work the same at this point. It's USB 3.0 or 3.1, and it either has the pass-through or it doesn't. But most have the pass-through because people are using it for streaming their gaming sessions, because we all want to watch someone else have fun playing the game.
What I'm wondering is, like, how hard of a setup would it be, since I'm one of the sacrificial lambs that's actually going to go to DEF CON in person, if I wanted to record, like walk around and record it, which actually I don't think you can do in Vegas now that I'm thinking about it, because they have like these like recording in public laws.
Really?
But, well, I think so, because I remember it was like DEF CON 19 maybe, that like someone was filming the social engineering village, and then the company that got socially engineered turned around and sued and said, hey, we have evidence that you did this illegal thing, because someone posted it to YouTube. So now I think it's like either hotel policy or there's like it was like this precedent setting case.
I do remember that, but I don't remember it actually leading to any laws being created. I thought it was just policy at DEF CON to not record illegal shit.
Yeah, that might have been it. I don't remember whatever came of that, but all the same, like, if I can't record illegal shit, then why, like, then why even bring a camera? Like,
if you wanted to live stream, I mean, yeah, you absolutely could. You could just use one of those capture card dongles, and if you use the pass-through type, you could just make it kind of funny, like wear a monitor so that everyone sees themselves on camera, like put the camera on a hat so it's really visible, and wear a monitor showing that you're on camera, but then also be broadcasting it out.
I like that. Or like even setting up like my own little booth. Oh, that'd be perfect if I make like the workshop in a box, and then just like set up in the hardware village and say, hey, if anyone needs like a soldering iron, or if they need a component or something, like, we can trade. You give me an electronic badge, and I'll give you all the solder you want and a pine sol or something. That's a terrible trade for them, but who cares? It's DEF CON. It's all about.
But hey, yeah, good trades is not what it's about. It's doing it for fun,
for the lulls.
Do it for the gram.
Oh God, the gram, which is interesting now that Facebook has aged out, what, like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and now Instagram is starting to show its age because TikTok is the new thing on the scene. But there was that, like, someone just recognized the change in the like end user license agreement, that TikTok stated in their privacy thing that they're going to collect biometric data about the people that are using their platform. And I know that they got bought out by, well, like your face geometry, or like
while using it.
I mean, they can't do that though, because they can't do that. Their user base are children, and you can't record anybody under 13. So they're going to have some issues coming up. But Microsoft did buy them, so.
I thought it was Oracle that bought them out.
Microsoft. As far as the last I heard.
Against face tracking, I just have the perfect thing. This is my phone, and this is my camera that just moves itself out when it has to be used. So,
what do you mean it moves itself out?
It's a pop-up camera.
Yeah, it's like something like.
So you're not being filmed because the camera's inside.
Gotcha. That's cool.
So you'll know if the app tries taking a secret photo of you. You'll hear the little thing going zzz as it raises up.
And then I can just push it in and say, no camera for you.
Well, I'm not even worried about someone hijacking the camera as much as I am like, okay, what if all of a sudden TikTok is like, hey, we've collected the facial geometry of 2 billion people or 2 billion faces, and they're like, hey, NVIDIA, would you like to buy the facial geometry of 2 billion people so that you can better make, completely imaginary people? Or like, what's really blowing my mind now is if NVIDIA if they can cross the uncanny valley to make virtual people that are indistinguishable from real humans, what does that say about evidence in court, like video evidence in court cases?
Oh, that's already an issue now.
That's what I'm like.
This is already a current problem.
Yeah,
They're just like a
but like
dog,
if you,
man.
but let's say you want to set someone up.
Yeah,
Let's say you want to set
You're
someone
just
up
a
for
dog.
something.
Why do you care about these things?
Yeah, why indeed? But no, like if someone was like, hey, we can just put your face like in like how do you combat
Like
the fact that
deepfakes
like
and
you
stuff.
didn't actually, murder, steal, or take candy from a baby?
Murder, death, kill.
A murder, death, kill. Thank you. Is that Demolition Man?
Demolition Man.
Perfect. Yeah, like, does video evidence suddenly not become admissible in court? And then if that's the case, is there some new kind of, if we get into like quantum evidence that you have to prove whether or not something existed in what was captured, like I'm just going to backflip all the way to a farm and I'm just going to grow tomatoes for the rest of my life. Like I'm going to burn everything.
That's not fair.
electronic.
You change the evidence by presenting it.
Wouldn't
Hey,
you
man.
prefer to live in a world that video evidence is no longer good enough to convict you?
Not if they change the recording method to not depend on just photons that are bouncing off of you. Like,
You
what if
mean
the
like recording your heartbeat and everything else all
And
at
eyesight.
once in combination? Yeah, but how would you implement this?
I'm
we're
sure
so far
the
from that.
Ask Elon Musk.
yeah,
With his friendship.
you just have to pray to his muskiness and he'll dream something up. Doge to
Well,
the
let's-
moon, right, boys?
Let's say we went
And
that
lady.
route.
Yeah,
Right.
I bought Shiba Inu. So
No,
we got Zach back here.
no. It's the meme of a meme.
true though.
So let's say we went that route where we all get the brain implant, which I think would actually be kind of awesome. I mean, you can't deny having some cybernetic implants would be cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the thing works well enough that, let's say everybody has it. Let's say in order to enter a certain city, you are required to have this chip, at least one version of it.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, had some
What if that
technical-
chip prevents you from being able to murder someone? What if you try to kill someone and it literally just turns you off? Sure, the idea is horrifying that it could control your brain and stop you from doing things, but if it stops you from getting killed, kind of cool.
That's an interesting dynamic. That would make a great, Twilight Zone Black Mirror episode.
It's been done.
Isn't that what the movie The Circle was about? Where like, what was her name? Jennifer. So I don't know. Whoever the main character is, like, ends up getting sucked in working for totally not Google, The Circle, and and like this technology ends up saving her life, but she ends up resenting it because of like how deep it got its meat hooks into her life, where it was like, hey, all of a sudden her parents were like accidentally broadcast over the internet sharing an intimate moment, and it was like, oh man, that was accidental. And it's like, is this something I'm starting to appreciate, like having a healthy distance.
I mean, I'm sure it was
tech.
accidental. They weren't just, being voyeuristic.
Are you shaming? Are you shaming now? But yeah, I'm starting to get with all the people that are on the same board of like social media was a mistake. Like people are like starting to perform for getting the little dopamine hit from every like or follow or watching their analytics go up. It's like,
but that was 10 years ago.
I know, and it's just disappointing. Like you'd think, I really hope that the Fight Club movie or
Hey, with that
game
in
for
mind,
this generation,
would you, like and subscribe?
Yeah, right. But what I'm saying is like, so for our generation, it was the movie Fight Club that was like anti-materialistic, like your life is more than the things that you collect and that you adorn your apartment with. So
Honestly,
maybe this
I don't
generation
think-
it'll be
I
like
don't
your
think most
social
people
media
got
isn't the
it.
same thing as the human being. And I
Like,
know a
when-
lot of people don't think about it, and it makes me so like so
I don't
disappointed.
think people understood the message in Fight Club.
I don't think the author understood the message in Fight Club.
I also don't think most people noticed the flashes of single frame nudity in that movie.
Yeah, they said there was something like what, 33?
I don't remember. I'm surprised you know that.
I became a huge Chuck Palahniuk fan, and he even wrote some science fiction, not hard like cyberpunk where everything like depends on tech, but it's kind of set as a backdrop. But if you guys ever read Rant by the same author as Fight Club, it's granted it's messed up because he's like that's kind of his trademark is very like shock value moments, but it's also a really like it's not quite a 1984 dystopian technological society, but it's kind of similar. Where yeah, there's like two separate castes of people. There's like the daytime people and the nighttime people, and then there's this like rabies outbreak where suddenly the chips that are implanted inside of people, like the neural chips, no longer function because some people got rabies on purpose so that the chips wouldn't be able to monitor them anymore because the neural degeneration eventually like just makes the chip cease to function. But then, then you're as smart as a person with holes in their brain because you've gone untreated with rabies because you wanted to escape surveillance for so long. Super interesting book. Highly recommend it.
That sounds good.
But just be really prepared for some like you're gonna see some shit. It gets graphic. It gets graphic. But yeah, that's my book recommendation for the year. If you read nothing else this year, Rant. Like if someone's ranting or they're going on a rant, it's Rant by Chuck Palahniuk, the same author of Fight Club. There was actually a sequel to Fight Club. Did you ever read Fight Club 2?
I never read Fight Club, but it was a great movie.
There was so the original book is just, black text on white paper, but Fight Club 2 is a comic book where it talks about like after the events of Fight Club. After the events of Fight Club, the unnamed main character and Marla get married, they have a kid, blah blah blah, and it was interesting to read, but nobody cared when it came out. Like no one knew that Fight Club 2 came out, but if you ask anyone that's around our age, like plus or minus 10 years, they know what Fight Club is.
I didn't know that there was a sequel or that it was a comic book. That sounds awesome.
You should check it out.
We all broke rule number 1 of the Fight Club.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. And yeah, hopefully, well, maybe that's what the next iteration of storytelling is going to be. Because right now, storytelling kind of went away from. It started off with like books, right? Like back in the day, if you wanted to tell a really elaborate story, it was either in a play or a book. And then TV happened, and then after TV, it was video games. And I think we're kind of there now. If you like. There's some hard-hitting, like very emotionally invested video games where like you put the controller down and like you either feel like some catharsis, like you went through this really intense experience where you either saved something or you lost something. Perfect example for me was the very end of the first Last of Us game, where like the whole time it's these two people that don't like each other, but they end up being the surrogate father and daughter for one another.
Yeah, I haven't actually played the game, so spoilers.
It's not a spoiler. It's
I'm kidding. The game's been out for like 5 years. It's not a spoiler anymore.
Yeah, suck it, boot disc. Anyway, but yeah, like so now that's the meat.
Oh, what happened? the Doge stopped speaking.
No.
Speaking of interesting games that are kind of emotional, what was the name of that one that Ellen Page They did like the full motion capture of her, and she voiced it. It's very
Bookworm
cinematic.
Adventures.
What was it?
No, I don't. I know what you're talking about. Life is Strange. Life is
Yeah,
Strange.
that game was great. It was like watching a movie that you got to, you know,
Decide.
multiple choice movie, and really well written. It was really a lot of I wouldn't say fun playing it because it's kind of a downer of a story, but it's pretty cool. You know, that's been out for like 10 years, so spoilers don't matter anymore. You know, she's like developing psychic powers as it progresses, and she's like a homeless person. It's really quite an intense game, and was actually pretty fun to play. And you kind of feel for the character, you know, because of the emotion that's captured, because of the actual motion capture of her face and the voice acting that goes with it, and you know, being a good actress to begin with, or actor now that she's I don't remember what her current name is, but Elliot Page, right? And I haven't seen him in anything yet since then. Should be interesting to see how well she plays a male character.
I think Willem Dafoe was also in that game, right? Like as the
Yes.
spirit or something like that.
Oh, and he's creepy as fuck, like always.
Willem Dafoe is one of those actors he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he's always playing the bad guy. He was, well, except maybe in what was that one that took place in Boston? It was just so bad, but it was good.
Shit, yeah.
You know, it's the two Irish brothers. And they're always Norman Reedus is in it. That's where like Norman Reedus got his big break.
I know, and I can't think of the name. It's one of my favorite movies. You know, there's a sequel to that too.
No, there's not. No, there's not. Don't.
Yes,
speak
there
of that.
is.
No,
Yes,
there
there
isn't.
is.
It was awful, and I don't acknowledge that it exists.
Oh, I think it was actually quite good. It went more.
No, you're allowed to be wrong.
It got more over the top. You know, all the crazy gunfights and stuff. Like, you know, it's supposed to be over the top. It's like watching the XXX movies. They were absurd, but they were good. It was Vin Diesel at his best, which is still a low bar. You know.
It was like the Starship Trooper movie. It was just
right. There was only one.
Yeah.
But then there were a bunch of sequels that were kind of good.
No, there weren't. No, there weren't.
Okay, but Rico's Roughnecks, the 3D animated series was really good.
Okay.
It was one of the very first 3D animated weekly cartoon series, and it follows the original books, and it was actually very watchable. You know, when it came out 20 years ago.
I still weep for the actor that plays Rico, and the fact that like between the very first cult classic Starship Troopers movie, he had nothing else going on to be casted again in Starship Troopers 3. Like, dude, you could have gone so many places.
No, it's more than that. He made that movie.
Shut your mouth. He did not.
Absolutely. He made that movie happen. That was his movie.
That's commitment. What a.
And you know what? It was
What a
the best
guy.
of the sequels, though. It was the best of the sequels, I think.
I guess. I do sometimes hear I'll silently say to myself, would you like to know more before I click on something? It's like, yes, Google, I would. Like when it tries to recommend me news articles on my phone, it's like, we noticed that you recently searched.
Starship Troopers doesn't get enough credit for being very cyberpunk. Like,
I agree.
Whole dystopian future. You can't have children, you know. You got to become a citizen. You're not a citizen until you serve in the army, which is almost a guaranteed death sentence. Like,
No, it was federal service, I thought. In the books, it's like you don't have to be in the military, but you have to like have some kind of government position for 2 years, and then you get your citizenship.
Well, isn't all
remember.
government military though now after the bugs have attacked?
I don't remember.
But I mean, it's like, all right, you join up and you're almost guaranteed to die, and now you have the chance to have a child. But if you die, you like having that child just replaces you. They're keeping the population from growing.
It's the self-licking ice cream cone of serving the state. which is spooky. Yes, thank you, Zach.
Dude, arena football, man. I'm glad that died. That
do you
didn't
mean
survive
died?
COVID.
Arena football will have its fiery, beautiful resurrection any month now.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, right. That's like what was that movie? 7 Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also a very underrated, cool movie with some crazy cool tech in it that we kind of have now. They're doing like it's like super arena football with like a steel ball and shit, and the people are just dropping left and right.
I know what you're talking about.
A Sega game?
No, it's a Nintendo game. It's a Nintendo game.
No, you're thinking of 3D pinball on Windows 98.
There's actually a football game with Mario
Arnold
characters.
Schwarzenegger's best role was 3D pinball on Windows 98.
Uncredited. Oh, the XFL. That's right.
Movie recommendation for today is watch The Sixth Day. It wasn't The Seventh Day, it was The Sixth Day. You know what? It's actually a pretty damn good movie. You've got Schwarzenegger, you've got cloning, you've got future tech, holographic displays, all kinds of crazy stuff. Multi-rotor helicopters that convert into airplanes, which we actually have. Someone actually made that crazy thing. FPV flying on this weird like arm gauntlet controller thing, which is kind of a cool idea that we don't actually have because it's not
Zach
a very
does.
good idea. That's true.
Zach has it.
Yeah. What are you doing over there, Zach? You want to jump in the live stream? Soldier 1998. Oh, you mean the unofficial sequel to Blade Runner?
Wait, what? Unofficial sequel to Blade Runner?
I don't know. I really liked Blade Runner 2049.
I
thought
did too. That was a great movie.
Yeah. The sequel to Blade Runner. It was Universal Soldier, or was it this one, Soldier 1998? Kurt Russell is in it. Gets dropped off on a trash planet and has a little adventure. It's actually a Blade Runner sequel, set in the same universe, written by the same people. Some of the same producers and stuff were involved.
I've never heard of this.
You know what's going to be really interesting?
You'll be disappointed if you watch it. You know what? It's actually not terrible. It's a good Saturday afternoon flick.
I enjoy a good bad movie now and again.
Preach. What what's kind of scary and this whole when you said trash planet, it made me realize okay, everyone's talking about the great plastic patch in the Pacific or whatever, but once space travel becomes cheap enough, and heaven forbid we ever build an elevator, what if we just start launching our plastics into the sun? What if that becomes our ultimate incinerator?
Earth just becomes the trash planet.
No, I don't. I like Earth
because
though.
it's going to be more effort to take the trash off the planet than to just take the people off the planet.
No. Elon Musk promised me that he would make space flight so cheap, so easy.
Promising and tweeted.
A dog could do it.
Yeah, so cheap that the top 5% of the planet can afford it.
Hey, it's better than the top 2 countries trying to outspend each other militarily can do it. Now the fact that a private company can do it is kind of a big deal.
They actually got to the moon, and we can't even do that anymore. At least they achieved something.
We can't.
It's not a matter of can't. It's don't.
We're gonna put a hotel up there for rich people. Who cares?
How much cheese do you need? There's no reason to bother going to the moon.
Excuse me, what? How much cheese do you need?
How much cheese do you need?
Back it up. Yeah, back it up.
What does that mean?
As much as we can.
The moon is made of
TikTok
cheese.
Thing.
As much cheese.
The moon
as
is made of cheese.
Mine the moon for all its cheese. Destroy it.
Hey, Bullfrog is joining us. Let me bring him into the stream.
Make cheese great.
Crap.
And
we only have 6 people on the free version, so we're gonna have to drop one of you. Who wants to Oh,
Okay.
there goes Emily.
Bye, MSG.
I was about to.
The studio limit 6 people. Come on. All right.
What were you saying, Zach?
We actually have to
Yeah.
remove MSG from the studio as well.
It's
There we
fine.
go. Hey, welcome on, Bullfrog.
Hello.
Welcome.
Well, we've just been talking about some sci-fi movies and randomness, and I was ranting about the glyph earlier, which is the retinal projectors I was talking about.
Which is hot as hell. Oh.
So Lydia there is wearing the glyph in its true form, which is hot and squishes your brain and is just unpleasant. But it's got 2 DLP projectors that project right onto the lenses of your eyeballs, and was originally made for FPV with the DJI platform, the original. And I have right here the guts of that put into a 3D printed case that I've been working on.
Yeah,
You can see the 2 lenses there. And everything fits right into this little space. It is about the same size as like the Attitude version 6. So, you know, pretty standard size for like a Fat Shark goggles. Actually, a little bit slimmer. That's what I was trying to do, is keep the size down so it wouldn't look like some crazy big, you know, box goggle on my face. And I think it's about the right size, you know. And I've got the TBS Fusion here, which is going to end up being mounted on the side of the case.
That's pretty awesome.
I think I've been wearing it long enough now that the built-in mind control is starting to work. I mean, Avid Glyphs are just amazing, and they're a great company.
Yeah, they didn't abandon their product after 6 months. No.
Yeah, but it's cheap enough to buy now, at least.
The price has gone up. It's like it was as low as $70, and it has then crept back up to 120 or 130. And I feel like they're going to run out. Like after I finish this project, I have the thing all built. I have to buy at least one more of them because, you know, I want to keep this thing running. It's the picture looks so good, and the latency is so much better than all of my other FPV goggles.
Wow.
And
I gotta get another one of these too.
and not just latency, but the frame rate. Like looking at like when you're looking at a ceiling fan, and it usually looks kind of weird on camera. You get kind of a weird blur. You can see like the individual frames of the arm moving because it's so clear and has such a fast refresh rate.
Is that just the difference between digital and an analog signal, or?
I think it's a combination between the CCD camera I'm using and the display. Because when I look at the same thing through my other goggles, you can tell that it's just got this motion blur to it. Whereas this, you can see like a crisp frame of the arm moving, you know, as it's rotating. It's quite unique. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's just clearer than any other display I've ever seen. Or you know what? Actually, it's very similar to looking at 140 hertz LCD. That's actually kind of comparable to it.
Nice.
Just had a look. I can't even get this in Germany.
No?
Nah.
Oh, really?
Not even on German eBay?
No, on German eBay, the cheapest price is 120 euro plus 20 euro shipping from the United States of America.
Newegg had them for a while. You might
Oh
not
my
use them.
Have you
goodness.
tried
Yeah,
AliExpress?
that's only about $30 more than we're paying here, though.
Yeah.
Have you tried
Yeah,
AliExpress?
Newegg had no, you can only buy them from secondhand. They're
Yeah.
not available from any direct shops anymore. But yeah, Bullfrog. Yeah, we were just going over that. I was showing all the parts and pieces. These scenes only have an HDMI input, so I have a small circuit board here that does composite to HDMI conversion. I actually have cut this thing down. It was like this big, but most of that was just empty space on the PCB and useless. So I've cut it down to size so I can fit it in the case. And then I've got one of those. You've probably seen these things before. The RunCam DVR. which you normally put in your quad
Yeah,
between
yeah.
the camera and the VTX. Yeah. I'm putting one of these in the headset so that I have a DVR on board.
Nice.
It won't let me play it back on board, but
You're just patching in right at the right where the shield, where you see the contacts at the bottom of the shield for the receiver module in there.
So I've already done this a couple times. I hooked up the TBS Fusion to my Fat Shark goggles through the AV input on it, and I was impatient and didn't want to wait for the adapter to show up, so I just got some pin header and soldered it up with a power supply, and just fed the video line out into the AV input. So that worked fine. And then I got the adapter, which is this board here. It's for adapting Fat Shark modules to DJI goggles. And this just gives you a power pass through and a AV out. It's got a screen on board though to give you the voltage of your battery pack, so that you can see how much charge you have left in your 2S pack that you're running the VTX off of. And that's great and all, but I tried this thing out the other day, and the power supply in this is so dirty that the video signal is just jumping up and down, like moving up and down in your view. It's garbage. Like, I don't know why would you even carry this product if it works so bad. And if you actually just check like the voltage output on it, the 5 volts on it literally is jumping up and down in voltage. So I won't be using this adapter board at all. I'll just be doing the direct mod like I had before.
You said that's only HDMI in. It's not. There's no receiver module. I'm sorry, I can't. I was trying to keep up with what you're talking about and see it. It's so little, I can't see what you're.
Yeah, I know it's tiny. No, it's HDMI in only because they originally built it for the DJI, which had an HDMI out on the controller. I think it was. It was like built into the actual transmitter.
Oh, okay. For those big, bulky looking goggles they had.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's what this thing is. I've just stripped it down to its bare setup, and there's very little in this thing. It just has a huge case, which is what Lydia over here is wearing. Lydia, would you take them off? Show. Yeah, I see the size of that thing.
I'm sorry, I'm out of the loop. I wasn't familiar with any of that. That's why I'm trying to catch up with what's going on here.
Yep. So, and it's DLP projectors inside there that project onto your eyes. So it's technically a retinal projector. Well, kind of marketing garbage, but
absolutely marketing garbage.
But they are an amazing video. The picture on it is just, it's like nothing else you've seen, because
is that similar
no
to
borders around the pixels.
I swear I thought I seen something on like Hacksmith where they took a pair of goggles or glasses like the Spider-Man glasses did. The ones that talk to Spider-Man or whatever, and it had some kind of projecting your eyeball
Jarvis.
situation.
What was it?
Jarvis.
Oh yeah,
I think it's from Iron Man.
Iron Man.
And Spider-Man inherited it.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, they did. Hacksmith did that. I'm trying to remember if it was a single or a double. Maybe they actually used the glyph module for it. But for being $120 video goggle, the image quality on it is definitely better than the Attitude version 6, which is the best FPV goggle I've used, most expensive one. It definitely beats that by quite a bit.
Wow.
The refresh rate and the just the image quality, having no black borders around the pixels, which there's still some visible in the Attitudes. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool. I'm impressed with the engineering that went into it. We were talking a bit about how hard it was to disassemble. This thing was not made to be disassembled. It's all one-way snaps, glue, and just a nightmare. It took me well over an hour to just snip away little by little with side cutters, because I didn't know where any of the wires were inside of it. I couldn't risk taking any large cuts without taking the wires out. Let's see. Zach answered the question there. Hacksmith used a stock pair of North glasses. So he just used some AR glasses. Those things are very expensive because he's got the money for it nowadays. But yeah, so I'm turning these into a decent pair of FP goggles, hopefully, if I can finish it without breaking. I mean, the size of it, it's about half the size of my box goggles and about the same size or a little smaller as the Attitudes. I mean, doing something for the first time is always hard, but once this is done, I probably could make a second pair for, fairly easy. Although disassembling on the glyph was, there's just going to never be a good way to do that. If you see like the large headband there, it's all one-way snaps that hold the two halves together.
What Matrix movie was it where they're using like a similar display that went over your face, but they were controlling the guns on the ship because they were getting chased down by the squid robots, and they it was very like war-mated video game.
Yeah, that was the scene that they copied like from Star Wars when they're in the gunner seats of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, but like it was very much an over the eyeballs. Like they were almost predicting what VR shoot 'em ups were going to look like before they happened. Like 8 years before it happened. But
yeah, I thought those were pretty cool. I really like from that move. Well, from the original Matrix is just the operator headset that the guy's wearing. What was it? Tank. And he just has like an old. It looks like just a classic like military headset, but it actually was a custom piece that they built just for the movie.
There's a guy's name. Those classic military headsets have like a. What's that name? It's like a Dave something headset. I'm gonna look it up right now. An aviation headset. I don't know. They're still very popular though. That same shape where it's very like just wires and huge ear cups.
Yeah.
David Clark headsets. If you Google David Clark headsets, you can find them, and they're actually still really expensive. So that's great.
Like I was saying before, we lost Bullfrog. Oh, there you go. You're back in. It's a pretty informal chat, and we just talk about everything. So
yeah, I just felt really lost because I guess I realized I was joining the stream, but I'd never done this. So I did it once before, but I never really set it up. So I clicked this, and here I was. Trying to figure out what was happening.
It's
sorry, I'm like, I don't know.
It's a little shocking there for the first time jumping in, and you realize that like you're just in. Like there's no warning. There's no easy way for me to like send you a message. There's a private chat section on the side and the public chat. The private chat you can type in, like to send messages back and forth, post links and stuff. But since you're on the show and you're new here, why don't you, share a little bit about yourself, tell people what you're doing.
I was fooling with 3D prints and TPU plastic and started posting stuff. And
oh yeah, the frame. Do you want to show the frame on camera?
Yeah, 1 second.
Without giving away the whole process.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, he's got this really cool process he's come up with for building some less
more prepared. I don't know if you can see it well in the.
Oh yeah, it shows up fine.
Oh yeah.
It's I actually had to make it dark in my little shed out here so I could. Otherwise, it was so bright the camera didn't work. It I don't know.
So that's so that quad
It's
frame,
really
he's
shiny.
covered it in TPU plastic.
Yes, this is a BQE 3AF 3-inch frame that I won from Matty Blunt's a Facebook group that he has. I won that from him and Bill Brissett at BQE. So I'd been doing this testing, and I thought, well, cool, I'm gonna put it on this nice frame, and this was the final product, and it came out amazing. it's somewhat still has a like a 90s jelly bracelet type feel to it, but it's a little harder than TPU normally would be. And well, for this brand I'm using, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of accidental. I wanted to use something instead of paint, and I worked with what I had, and here we have.
And for anyone that doesn't know, like pretty much use TPU prints all over quadcopters because it gives you some strength. It protects you from delaminating the carbon fiber when you scrape it along the ground. Protect the corners, protect the motors. Just, it's a nice squishy material that can protect all of the expensive bits.
Sorry about that. I don't know where. I'm just a hillbilly. I fly RC hobby. I like FPV. I got into that a couple years ago, and I'm kind of just tinkering with it. I'm not that good, but I still do it and have fun. But I have electronics background from hobby, and I like building as much as I like flying. Well, you crash your stuff, you can't fly. And I got this 3D printer, so I'm always using my downtime messing with something else, it seems like. And I happened upon this. It gives it a, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it doesn't have the normal carbon fiber ring.
Yeah, a bit dampened.
Yeah, so, I mean, I do use heat to apply it, but it's kind of a weird process. I figured out actually painfully, hours and hours and hours of trying different stuff on countless Source One cheap frames that I've destroyed.
And that TPU is that is permanently fused on there. Like, you're not peeling that off.
Yeah, I mean, you can get it off with a scraper. If you apply heat, I'm sure you could, but there's a fine line
really want to?
between ruining it and, if you have to
I've got this 3-inch frame here, and I've built it once before, but it was all a bit too heavy for the motors and flight controller ESC combo I had. But I'll be building it again, and I was thinking it would be pretty cool to apply that. It's a good little frame too, and cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hard process to figure out, but unless you wanted to spend hours for no reason, you know what I mean? It's really
experimenting with new materials is always fun. I'm always looking for new processes to try out. I recently did some new faux finishes. I wanted to give, when you have something that's kind of shitty, cheap, smooth plastic, it's just like a terrible feel, and you just drop it. It's just uncomfortable. So I wanted to recreate that kind of bumpy, textured plastic of the 90s that everything had.
Oh yeah, like the orange peel. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah, exactly.
And you kind of get that with this. I don't know if you can see it in there. And obviously,
looks really glossy though.
Yeah, it looks really cool too with the being able to see the carbon fiber through it.
I'm sure I could put. Let me get my phone. I can add the pictures to the Discord. I'm sure that would be. Is that where everybody's chatting at?
Yeah, they're either in the comments here on YouTube or they're on the Discord. If you want, let me just bring you up full screen, and you can show the frame so people can see it a little better.
You can this 3D filament that I'm using. See, at one angle, it looks solid color, but oddly enough, in the sunlight, it glows like a light. And I'll try to use my phone light here. Oh shoot, sorry.
Oh yeah, it gets pretty bright. Wow, it really makes the carbon fiber glow.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
That's just this fluorescent green. Now I have solid red, and it doesn't really do that. But I mean, experiment with it, I guess. Whatever colors you'd like to put on there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to give it a try. Might try and do that in my electric oven.
Yeah, this other side here, I'm gonna do a couple multicolors on there, so it's I can't just.
I was thinking of plasti dipping my frame.
Well, I tried that, and I even sanded a frame, and it peels off.
It just doesn't stick, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it bonded good, but then you get a little temperature involved, like it gets cold outside or whatever, and then it either gets stiff from being cold, and then you can injure it pretty easy, or the hot cold of like summer versus inside out versus outside. wants to just let loose, I guess, and come off there. I mean, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
That's actually what I figured is, carbon fiber is just so smooth. I thought about doing it and it's like, well, it's probably just going to add a bunch of weight and not really help anything. And then I was thinking about painting it just because, so there's just some paints that are pretty strong, just like a polyurethane paint. And you can actually get that in a spray can nowadays. It's a 2-part. You smash the bottom and it pops open a second canister. And then it mixes the paint inside the spray can. But of course, then you want to use up the whole can within an hour or two or a day, whatever the shelf life is. But yeah, the reason for this is just these frames, they break. They're incredibly strong until they're not.
How thick is that one?
This one, you know what? I don't know. Let's have a look.
This BQE frame is like, I think 10 mil thick. Let me check that. But
I'll have to give you millimeters.
So uncomfortable. I don't even know who I was talking to on Discord, and I'm not really an internet person.
That's me.
I just do it in my shed by myself. I kind of live in not the greatest town.
This is 2.37 millimeters thick. It was supposed to be 2.5, but I guess the extra 0.1 cost too much.
Yeah, this is.
I wanted to shave off some money.
This one's roughly 9.5. I think 9.5. I can't tell now that the coating's on there, but.
In the chat was the question: how much weight did it add?
3.8 grams is what it added to one side of this frame.
Well, that's not bad at all.
I would have to assume that's going to vary by maybe a gram. And like I said, it was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning accidentally when I figured it out. And so I didn't want to stop, like my mania took over, and I just wrote it out. And
how thick of a sheet of TPU did you print that you used to fuse onto this?
Well, at first, I printed a really thick sheet. And I don't care how cool you are with storing your TPU, you cannot get all the moisture out of it when you start to heat it up in an oven.
Yeah,
it shows up. And so I backed all the way down to like a 0.5 mil thick. I would just print like a 180 by 180, 0.5 mil.
A mil or a millimeter?
0.5.
Okay.
I would print, that thin. And then I would treat that so I literally would just take my time baking the moisture out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. So
and
you baked it ahead of time.
You can't really melt it too soon. You got to get that moisture out of there. And then I ultimately wound up doubling the sheets up after doing that, because with my little 1970 whatever Toastmaster, that's, I don't have a very big area, and it's kind of ghetto on how it comes up the temperature. So I put a big steel plate in there, and I'm really playing, Chef Boyardee with the stuff. But adding a 0.5 mil at a time is how I kept it from getting all the bubbles that I was having problems with. And it usually wouldn't matter, I would say, except for this is more clear. So,
I wonder,
red.
What is TPU, the base material? Like, is TPU available in a solvent? I don't know if anything can dissolve it, if it's...
There's partial dissolvers from what quick Google searches. I didn't spend all weekend looking it up or anything, but I think acetone, there's a couple that will dissolve it.
Like, I wonder if you can get it in a bucket, like a bucket of TPU paint, something that you could actually paint on and then bake it afterwards.
I think you have different polymer beads that you heat up and they blend, and that's what makes it. So
you can get maybe not TPU, but polyurethane you can get as a resin. You mix 2 parts together and with different hardnesses. And
I've done a lot of work with polyurethanes, and I guess TPU is some composite that is a form of a polyurethane.
The name is thermoplastic polyurethane, I think.
Right.
So,
yeah, I see. I didn't.
Something.
I really didn't even research it. This was all trial and error. Had music playing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just in and out of the oven, tweezers. I got this little, one more thing that I should probably tell you. This stuff here, non-stick copper sheeting that you get like as seen on TV, get it at Dollar General. I think I got it for $10, 2 rolls of it. That is a must-have. That trying to do this without that, it sticks to everything. I even got it on my coffee mug. And
so that's your non-stick surface for it?
Yeah, and this, I mean,
is it copper with like Teflon on it?
It's woven. I don't know. It's matter of fact, I think I have the packaging. 1 second.
Helix, you having some trouble with your Doge?
Like a magic show.
Doge has been having its own trouble for a long time now.
Bullfrog, in case you weren't aware, one of our members is a dog. So,
yeah, I was actually, that's how I turned my camera off. I was trying to figure out how to do that. I've never been on the internet like this. That's why I'm all nervous and weird, and I'm sure everybody is. So I was like, I'll do the
No, we're making this shit up as we go.
And you're not being nervous or weird. Like, that's all in your head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nobody would know.
You can't see it, but I'm there.
We are
secretly just like fidgeting out of the frame.
Yeah.
This is I don't know. Will we get in trouble for showing brands on here or anything?
No.
We're not monetized.
Copper oven liner, straight out of Dollar General.
Oh, okay. So it's like aluminum foil, but
I paid for that.
Copper.
With copper.
I don't know if it is with copper, but looks like these reusable baking sheets.
Oh, I mean, I've seen it on the internet. It's got to be true.
Yeah.
Nice. I actually could use that for some other projects too.
It cuts real easy with scissors. It's not tough if you use a metal scraper
it's not porous. Like, it actually feels like a solid sheet.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, you can blow through it because that's what I was trying to figure out, if it would let the moisture out of it if I had to cap it or something like that. But
yeah, I would like to try that with some epoxy resins, because those are always kind of difficult to work with.
There might be other non-stick surfaces that are better. That's just, like I said, man, I'm just goofing around in my backyard in my shed, and this is what I'm doing for fun, and happened across it, and I posted on Facebook.
Well,
some people
it's copper, so that could work really good for EMI protection. Like, if you could solder to it, for blocking out electromagnetic interference, like to cover over top of your flight controller. They sell. Yeah, and they sell those sheets now that are like a flexible PCB with copper traces in it and a bunch of ground pads that you're supposed to solder all over your frame.
Yeah, you can encase it in this, like the vinyl clear, so it doesn't short out and just go around it. Yeah. Actually, I was messing around with
I ordered one of those copper sheets. It's a little PCB with some solder pads on it. I ordered one off Get FPV, and they make them to cover the flight controller. It's supposed to help block out a lot of the interference you normally get. And it actually makes perfect sense too, because the gyro that's on the flight controllers, they're really sensitive to interference. And we've got an 800 milliwatt transmitter. 25 milliwatt transmitter. Blasting out over the airwaves, and it's sitting an inch away from the flight controller.
Or if you did a pretty build and you work your wires on the inside between the stack, and you like have something, you know what I mean? Like, and we all have done it. Now I'm
run them directly over the thing.
I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me get that a little closer. It's the old clear vinyl we used to coat our driver's license with or whatever, and put it through the heat roller. And I put it over the flight controller and heated it up, pinched it just to see if it would seal it good. I don't know about how much heat it's going to cause or anything like that.
I would be worried about it overheating. Maybe not on the flight controller, but on anything else.
Yeah.
That's like the video transmitters. They all come with a little piece of clear heat shrink, and if you put it on, you basically just killed your transmitter.
I was meaning for this stuff here to like shield to Faraday cage around it. like maybe use that vinyl stuff. And I mean,
Well,
this was for no reason other than to just see if I could.
You
melt
have
this
the
around it.
vinyl, you have the copper.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to test this one.
Yeah, I mean, let me add this to. Well, I cleaned the marker board behind me to not share any secrets, I guess. But I have one on the side. I'll have to write that on my marker board.
I
Dude,
just
if you
keep
start
it all
teaching-
here. That way I forget, and then nobody can steal it.
If you start teaching lessons like with your marker board, if you actually do like your own classroom, here's how FPV works. Here's how you start doing your own drone thing. It's like you almost have your own classroom already set up.
Oh no, I don't want to do that. There's a lot that I don't know. I know enough to know I don't know enough. You know
Hey, man.
That's the first step to like becoming a master at something, is knowing that you'll never become a master at anything.
Yeah, I don't
True
want-
story.
So true.
I mean, I
same with
help
the-
anybody if I can, and I've had tons of people help me. I've met a couple guys on Discord that I've been friends with for a couple years, and we talk regularly. And but they're not into this kind of stuff, so they do their thing. But they're more into
Yeah, some people are more interested in flying than building. I kind of fall in the middle. When I got into FPV, it didn't actually exist yet. I had to buy video goggles that were made for like an iPod for watching movies. A transmitter and receiver bare module that I had to, actually create my own carrier board for. And, the old carbon fiber frames, which were square tubing, like shoved into a plastic piece that would hold it all together. You try and shave as much weight as you possibly could off the thing. I think my whole camera and separate battery, because the power was so dirty you couldn't run it off the same. I think that whole setup was like 5 grams, and that was a lot to add to a 30-gram brushed motor quad.
right.
I had to strip virtually everything off of it and use a slightly smaller battery to make up the weight difference. But yeah, I was 10 years ago flying around in my living room with about a 39-gram quad with video and
Sparking machine. That's awesome.
yeah, it was fun, and it's come such a long way since then. But yeah, you had to build. You had no choice. You had to order your modules straight from China and wait 3 months for them to get delivered because, Banggood didn't do 3-day deliveries like they do now. And
Hobby King was a thing back then.
Hobby King. Oh, yeah. I've got a box sitting right here of all my Hobby King stuff I never used because it was crap and never worked.
Yeah, that was actually one of my first videos I did on another channel, actually, where I got an FPV frame from Hobby King, and it should be 1.5 millimeters, but it was 1 millimeter, and there was no good documentation on how to build it. And after I built it, I flew it once.
And never
Walking
again.
speed against a tree, and then I had to build a new frame.
Hobby King was kind of cool for a time. I definitely used them. Like, they were good for replacement parts. Every time a brushed motor would burn out, you just go order 8 more because they didn't last very long. And but when you actually tried to build like a good quad, like a good brushless setup with a modern flight controller, and at the time at least, they were terrible. I did look recently to see if they were still around, and it looked like they're kind of dead. Like the stuff they're selling, they've switched to RC cars or something. But I guess you just don't need it anymore.
I
Yeah,
found an RC car again.
From
I have one.
LEDs and components to cell phones and RC cars. The slow decline of any electronic car.
This morning, I went to my favorite spot. It's a big park pretty nearby my house, and I got there to fly, and it's like, shit, there's like 20 people here already flying. And I wasn't, planning on being sociable this morning. So, but it ended up being pretty cool. They're all a bunch of nice guys. I guess they go there every Sunday. I usually am not there on Sundays, so that's why I've never seen them before. And just to the side of me were a different set of people, and they were flying something that we were talking about in the Discord just yesterday. Those the 70s airplanes that don't have a flight controller or remote control system at all. You turn on the motor, it just starts going, and it starts spinning in a circle on a cable, and you steer it kind of like a kite. But
tether.
Yeah, the tethered flight, but you kind of have to like spin in a circle as it's going around, and you have to keep going until you run out of fuel. It's like the most ridiculous thing, but it's what they had in the 70s and the 60s.
You gauge your flight time by your fuel tank size.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's kind of cool, but it's like, I think it could use a little modernization. Like maybe you put a speed controller on your little hand control and, you know, have the ability to turn off your motor. They're running nitro motors, and I forget how loud they are because everyone's on electric and you don't hear them anymore. And damn, those things are so incredibly loud. Like I thought my my quad was just screaming, you know, hearing it from like a quarter mile away. And, you know, having that, having those
scary.
nitro motors right next to me, it was like, wow, that's something.
Yeah, it's pretty scary to have those. I remember that. That's a big death machine on a string swinging around.
I think Helix just said he's dropping out. Yeah, Helix.
I got to dip out. The Old Roy Dry is they're coming out with a new flavor, so I got to go test that out.
Go get some Doge food.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye. See ya.
Hey, we got Bot Grinder in the chat. How you doing? I've been bugging him to jump in the stream one of these days.
I can't even see the.
I'm gonna drop off too, guys.
Yeah, Lydia, be good.
I'm helping here. Like,
enjoy your early work day tomorrow.
And I got this thing on my face.
That's how it's going to feel like in the future when we like unplug from our like, you know, augmented life system.
Oh gosh.
If you ever saw the movie Surrogates, that's what they get out of it and they can like barely move because they've been in a pod for like 2 days straight.
That's what it feels like wearing that thing for an hour or two. All right, I gotta put it back on to get out. I forgot. I can't see anything unless I'm wearing this.
I wish I knew how to do this more. I get so confused trying to.
I wish I could log out, but like I lost the like reset button, and I've just been stuck in this thing for, you know, for like 34 years.
The magic says you.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
See you next
Bye.
time.
And then there were 4.
Yeah. I don't mean to hang too long. Like I said, I've never done this, and I didn't know what to say or how to act online. I ultimately don't care, but of course, you know, I'm all nervous. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I felt the same way when I started doing live streams like 6 months ago. I was on this show called The Edge of Tech, and I had never done anything that was at all formal. And it ended up overlapping with my trip to California. So I had to bring everything with me. I had my setup, like I took the like table in the hotel and pulled it around to the side. I took the dresser and moved it and opened the drawers and used that to like hold my camera because I didn't have a tripod that would work. I didn't have the fitting on the end to go into the camera. It was just a mess. If anyone had seen the room, just cables everywhere, furniture everywhere, but it worked and it looked great. You know, it's just you do what you have to do, right?
Yeah, I watch a lot of people on YouTube, and you know, you watch people like Bot Grinder. I love his videos; they're great. And
they are too.
Zorro, Primitive FPV. Those are the guys that, you know, when I was in a funk, I'm watching them guys and their antics. They keep me going. You get kind of familiar. You think you know the people through the YouTube, and then you're like, oh my God, I have to get on and talk to people. That's right. Everybody's just regular. This isn't TV. You know?
Yeah. It isn't TV, and like, you know, they just chat with you. I mean, there are some people who treat it a little more, you know, they act a little bigger than they are, but I mean, if you're the best FPV pilot in the world, you have the right to be a little bit stuck up, and you know, and you're gonna get like 1,000 messages a day, so you can't exactly answer all of them.
And you know, that's not something obviously I want to be an amazing pilot, but I'm not going to be the next whatever great pilot on YouTube, and that's cool.
Not with that attitude.
I just want to have fun. You know what I mean? I don't really want to shoot for anything. I just want to keep on chooching. You know what I mean? Every weekend,
you know what?
have some fun.
When I showed up at the field and those other guys were already flying, went up, introduced myself, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're out here every week," and they're like, "We're just here to have fun, so come join us." And I was like, "Perfect. Those are the kind of people I like to to hang out with."
You guys order Chinese food, keep the chopsticks, stick them in a prop. When the little kids see you out flying and they're interested, you can give these away, and you just spin them with your hands. They fly. It's it's all about having fun, I think. Of course, I have a grandson that's 6 years old, so it's really easy for me to have to think of stuff like this.
That's fun. That's a good idea too. Could give it a try with all of the bent props, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, props are cheap enough. I'll give away a bag of props and give somebody, you just shove it in the end of it. It fits pretty good. I even went extra and put a little string on this one. I got a little PVC holder, and you can wind a string around it and really crank it and get this thing flying. But, kids always want to come up and see what's going on, and you're trying to fly a drone, especially if you're flying a 5-inch, and instead of just being harsh and like, I'm trying to fly here or whatever. Just
I know.
Get some of this stuff out, talk about it. Like, hey, tell your mom and dad to look this up.
When I got started flying, me and my dad would go to the park every week and watch the people flying. And, one time when we were there, we actually, someone actually took the time to chat with us and explain how it worked and, let me fly their glider a bit. We ended up buying a extra remote and glider and, setup from this guy. Yeah, he had a truck full of them that he'd been working on, and it was great. Bought into it for virtually nothing, basically gave it away, considering what it was. And that was a nice way to get into it. And I was flying a 7-foot wingspan glider at age 10, and that thing was just fun. You'd get it up there, catch the thermals, catch the updrafts, and you could keep it in the air for about 25 minutes. You don't have to worry about the batteries dying, because one battery would last you the whole day because you're only controlling the servos with it. Compared to these 5-inch, where you get a 3.5 minute battery time. Speaking of the batteries, today was an interesting day. I was flying along, and I don't know if I just overamped it or what, but one of the batteries just plummeted. Just went from 3-something volts down to like 1 volt instantly, and the thing just dropped. But letting off the throttle for a moment, it did recover and hover, and I landed it clean, no damage or anything. But I lost video signal, I lost control. I was up high enough that it recovered before hitting the ground.
That was that China Hobby Line battery you was talking about?
China Line, yeah. And they're basically the best battery you can get without paying a ridiculous price for it. I was really shocked. This was a brand new pack too. I've never flown this one, freshly charged, and first flight on it, and it just died. Puffed up like crazy, but it didn't just puff up. It puffed up with like this weird, like pointy protrusion in one spot of it, almost like the pack like ejected like a little piece of something that was stuck maybe between the cells and the shrink wrap. There was like something in there that jammed into it. Maybe when it swelled up a little from flying, something actually punctured it. I don't know. Something bad happened to it, and I was quite surprised by that. But then the thing's flown terrible since then. The video transmitter's all snowed out, and
I would throw that right in the garbage. I mean, obviously not straight in the garbage, but I'd retire that one. I blew one up in my garage one time. Started a charge, walked out, came back in, and was being stupid, and it was pretty nightmarish. So I don't take a chance now.
I'm not gonna fly it again, but I did charge it just for the hell of it, and I want to see how much the voltage drops after just a day or two. See if one of the cells actually is bad, because it's not even. It doesn't even look all that puffed out now.
You
It's
took
just
the
one.
full charge?
Yeah, just one spot where it's got a little bit of a protrusion, but I think it's actually just part of the aluminum foil where it's got a little bit of a crease and it kind of pushed into the packaging here. Because once it cooled off, it's not really puffed. It was just a bit swollen while it was hot. I thought I'd charge it and just see if all the cells retain their voltage. When I put it on the charger, though, they were at like 2.93 volts, 2.9, 2.9, and like one of them was at 2.8 something. So they're probably smoked.
Yeah. That's a shame, though. I mean, are they going to replace it or?
I don't know. I got to remember who I ordered this one from. And I guess that was probably Race Day Quads too, which they already owe me a new drone because they sent me the 4S version and I bought the 6S. I've been dealing with a bit of a Karen for customer service. I finally had to just say, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'll speak with your boss, because they were arguing with me about which motor the thing comes with, because they were going to give me a replacement motors. And they were trying to lowball me on the pretty much the worst motor that's available. And is like, that's not what's in this thing. Why would I take that as a replacement? But, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much had to adopt attitude. I used to buy used stuff all the time, just, on the FPV marketplace or whatever, and just deal with it. But lots of dishonest people, or I'm just dumb and I missed something and didn't read right or whatever.
Well, and used gear is rough too, because these things take hits and it could look fine, but it's taken 30G impact to the ground.
Yeah, but at first I wanted to go out there and literally I didn't care if I broke it every single time I flew, so I was trying to just bang it around. And I realized I would never learn to drive a car like this. So
right. I have a hard time just sending it because I paid money for this and I want to fly it all day. I don't want it broken when I get there. I fly pretty nice and easy. Throw in a few tricks here and there, learn stuff along the way. But I like to just kind of get it up, get some elevation, so when I screw up, I don't hit the ground. I can recover and just cruise around a bit, maybe punch it a couple of times just to see what it can do.
I always forget to do that. Test myself and test the quad before I just try whatever I really can't do anyway.
Yeah,
I just go right to it and be like,
I do that. I just you put a fresh pack on and you're just like, oh, full throttle, and just just get some elevation on it. But then you realize that your prop is loose and
Yeah, so now I take off line of sight and then I drop my goggles pretty much every time anymore, because I'm always tinkering and building and taking something off and putting it back on.
Yeah, I try and do a little bunny hop
with my face because I had my goggles off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try and do a little bunny hop first with the goggles off, just to make sure it feels all right, and then pop them on and go for it.
Yeah, and I just bought digital. I've never built a digital quad, and this is.
Did you go to Fat Shark?
DJI is what I bought, and whatever. Who cares? I wore
that's
my
the best
buddies.
looking image you can get.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing, and I love analog. I mean, I'm Dominator V3s. I've had those. I actually used to have 2 pair. I loved them, but there's no pretending. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's actually one of the reasons that I'm building this Glyph setup, is that I want to switch over to Fat Shark, the Shark Bite digital.
Yeah.
And since this thing's HDMI in, that's, that gives me HDMI in, and this is just an unbelievably good image, and the latency is just imperceivable. You wave your hand in front of the camera, and you can see how bad my shit's lagging here. But you wave your hand in front of the camera wearing the goggles with the camera connected directly through the HDMI to composite converter, and there's no delay, there's no lag, there's nothing you can see. You move your hand and there's nothing. You switch over to the Fat Shark goggles, you move your hand and you see it immediately. Yeah. You know that there's a lag, and I figure on the the Shark Bite it'll just be perfect.
Yeah, my friends, they both tried it. Flying Sasquatch FPV, and Marty, his name's Fat Pastor FPV. It's pretty funny, PHAT. But he's down south. They bought I'm pretty sure they did the first one Fat Shark did. What was that? The Bite Frost or?
Yep.
I think they did that one. At least one guy did. And then they both went to the Fat Shark Digital, and then now one of them, Flying Sasquatch, he went to DJI. He actually got the DJI quad, and he likes it pretty good. And I think I'm going to eventually get one just to have it. I think it's.
I mean, there's no denying that there is a long ping on that DJI setup.
I just want it to have a better camera. If I'm going to have a quad that I can quote unquote fly FPV, I want it to give me the video quality that I would want off of that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why? I'll just fly my other stuff around.
Yeah. Recently, was thinking about getting back into FPV.
And the 3-inch, sub 250 gram.
Yeah, and then I saw the DJI goggles and thought, oh, these are nice. How much are they? Oh, maybe a bit too steep for just getting back into it.
Go for the Fat Shark Bite digital system because it's, much less. Assuming your goggles don't cost a lot. It's like if you add the Fat Shark Bite plus the goggles, you got the same price as the DJI now.
Yeah,
but there's really good goggles for $220, like really, really good with the HDMI input. So
yeah, just take care of your gear. Take really good care of it. And then
if
you don't want it, then you can recover quite a bit of your money out of it in the FPV marketplace or what have you.
Here's my 3-inch. This is the Crux 3. The FET on this AIO board burned out within 1 week of flying it.
Can you go full picture on that so we can see it better?
I can. So pretty simple X-frame. It's actually a pretty nice little frame and stuff. It's about 2.5 millimeter, 3 millimeter, something like that. The motors I've already replaced myself. The stock motors bent up really easy. They're garbage. Added a different capacitor. The one that was on there was a bit undersized. But yeah, it burned up a FET. Probably my own fault, just trying to get it out of a tree. Each ESC for each motor, I guess, has 2 FETs on board. And one of the 2 is still working. So the thing will still fly, but it's topping out at 3 amps output for that motor. So I couldn't figure out why I was flying so bad. And then I looked in Betaflight, and I saw when I was just turning on the motors, is like, oh, this one's only outputting, 3-4 amps and not hitting full speed because of it.
What stat did you say that was? I'm sorry.
This one is a, I don't remember what's on it. It's an AIO that just comes with the Crux 3. So I think it's just like a Betaflight. I think it's just a Betaflight AIO.
Right.
It's something cheap. They're only 6 amp ESCs on here. So that's it's not a whole lot to work with.
Do you have I'm sure you do. I forget who I'm talking to. I'm sure you got a rework station. Do you have a donor board you can pull FET off of or something?
No. This is my new donor board.
Right. Now you can. Next time, right?
Yeah. I actually, I really don't do SMD much. I don't have a hot air reflow setup. I just never used it, so I never bought one. But I could get one.
Yeah, get the $100 one if you're going to play with this. You're going to really wish you had that more controlled, precise, pointed airflow.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want to do. One other thing, if you don't mind, can I show my arm bumpers too? That was the next step I was working on.
Yeah, Zach, you gotta come on, get back into it. You need another expensive hobby.
Yeah.
This is applying it to the edge of the Source 1 frame, and it's not just glued on. I even didn't finish this part, so you could maybe see. probably not the bond in there, but
Yeah, it's
But
on
anyway,
there.
I tested this by slamming it on my bench, hitting it on the vise, and it's like hitting it on the sharp part of the vise. I get like a little dent in it, and I mean, I can still put my thumbnail in it.
Mhm.
And then just
Yeah, I mean the carbon fiber doesn't really ever. I mean, it can snap. You can just purely snap it,
yeah,
but it's really just the damage it takes grinding along the cement. It's all that delamination. You get to the point where it's just, it's like crumbling paper.
yeah. This is a 3D print off of Thingiverse, and I just cut the bottom of it off, and then I put it through my process to add it to the edge. And I mean, if you do it right, it's semi-permanent.
I mean,
put that on
really,
the channel locks.
This just needs to come from the factory. They could put it through a process where it was controlled in a way that, it would just be uniform and kind of perfect. Like you look at the TPU prints that come with the models. Some of them are just incredible. They're just like I can't print TPU this good. I don't know how they did it. Because it's stuff that needs supports, but there's no sign that there was any support in it. So you figure they had to use dissolvable supports, and that makes sense because industrial scale printing, they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and depending on my machine, I have an Ender 3 that's on its last leg. Matter of fact, I can't get a good print out of it right now. So printing sheets of TPU and melding it was kind of the next step before I, ordered more parts for it. But
yeah, I've been fighting I've built a Core XY, and I have it running right now, but it's still not what I'd call perfect. I managed to get some prints out of it, but like this one here, this was the first version of the case for the glyph. I wanted to give it kind of a cool little design and stuff, but this thing is it just crumbles.
oh no.
Complete delamination between all of the layers. Like it's just it's like it just comes apart. There's the infill,
What is that,
like,
PLA?
PLA, but it's the silk, and these silk filaments do this sometimes. But I did manage to get it, to actually bond for this one. But I switched filaments too.
Silk filament
solid.
is made to look good and not to be functional.
Not to be printed, just to be looked at on a roll on your shelf.
Yeah, and I wish that I could print with, molten metal, but one step at a time, I like tinkering with this, playing with a little hot air, and getting this to bond. And there's a few tricks I've learned. I'll let you guys figure it out. But I think that you could do this manufacturing. You could do it, but I think you would have to like sheet the carbon with it, cut out your drones, your quads, and then put it through another process. I still think it'd be better if it's treated afterwards because of the effect of the edge of the carbon, how it bonds, unless you're wanting to go all the way around every inch of it and add some.
Well, I could see going around your leading edge, the one that's going to hit the tree, that's going to hit the pole.
Yeah, that was the whole point in this on the
right.
one.
And even maybe, just having it on that leading edge, that might be enough to stop the delamination along the edges, and probably enough to keep it from, snapping it. But then, there are those times when you pitch up and you hit the tree flat.
Yeah, I'm more likely to cartwheel it through a parking lot and beat the ends of it up. You know what I mean? So I always think about putting the stuff right on the end. And that's, I'm sure that'll go away once I fly better, but I'm wanting to try to smash stuff.
I like the idea of testing it for the oscillations. And, you don't need to be... you don't need anything too fancy. You just got to check the black box log and, do a bunch of flights with the black box, record all that data, and then take it apart, apply the TPU to the same frame, and run it again, and then see if those graphs, see if it's got all the, the oscillations in it, see if you can tune it farther.
I guess that's a good enough reason to order another one of these frames, right?
No, I think you'd have to use the same one though, because I mean, how consistent is that sheet of carbon from batch to batch?
It's you talking about the strength of it and all that. I don't know. BQE uses extremely good carbon, and
Yeah.
I mean, not to be the commercial guy here, but I tried a bunch of cheaper carbon off some no-name quad stuff, and Source One's pretty good carbon. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken in Source One and BQE's the same, but I don't think it is. But I didn't get it to coat on anything as good as I got it to do on this, and
Interesting. I wonder if it has to do with the type of resin used in the carbon, because there are a lot of different types of resins, different brands of resins when carbon is made.
Yeah, the guys on Facebook, well, one guy in particular said that he's like, I think they said get more standoffs is the only thing they broke on this frame. Like they've beat it to pieces and never broke the frame.
Yeah,
so,
I've got the QAV-S hopefully being delivered tomorrow. Finally, been waiting a couple weeks, and
Nice.
I'm looking forward to building that one. It's supposed to be, pretty close to indestructible. As good as you're going to get.
yeah, well, I'm a professional crasher, so if anybody's going to break it, I guess it's going to be me, and I guess not because I want to, but it seems like the Murphy's Law, like, oh, this thing happened and it fail-safed and fell out of the sky, and I broke this unbreakable part,
Yeah, here it is. I've got these huge sheets of, this is 3M adhesive. It's got that 3M smell to it. This is double-sided adhesive tape, and it's like the stuff that comes pre-installed. Every time you buy something that's like sticky backed and it says 3M, and you have like a little square of it, this is that stuff, but in the full sheet form. It's actually really cheap too. It's like $10 for, I think, 10 of these sheets.
Oh, nice.
So I actually bought this for the purpose of attaching TPU parts to my quads. I figured I would just, basically glue them on, but that 3M tape is kind of easier to work with than glue. And it adheres to, different materials very well. Whereas it's kind of hard to find good glues that'll attach to like something like carbon fiber and, to TPU. Right. I haven't tried it on the carbon yet, but it does stick to the TPU pretty well. But
I
then
hope it works. Everything I've tried. No.
And show me this, how you fused it on there today or yesterday. I was like, oh, damn, that's so much better.
It's so weird. It's a time exchange. Like, to 3D print an arm guard or something like that takes however many hours. Well, you meld it faster. You think you're going to get it done faster, but no, you still have to give it the time to apply it. So depending on what you're trying to do, you're going to wind up with quite a bit of time in it, but it's worth it if it stays, like if you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, time is, you're sitting there watching Stargate and, doing other things and you're just letting it run. It's like your printer. I mean, yeah, I like my prints to go quick, so I use a thick nozzle, but, I don't care if it takes 8 hours. I just care if it takes 24 hours because I don't want to sleep with a, fire hazard running.
Yeah, and if you're doing like hot air molding, you can have a really cruddy looking print. Like you can go big nozzle and not really care too much about quality unless you're leaving holes or something like that. But
yeah, I wonder if you can get TPU in just a sheet.
Yeah, I did find it, but it's like I didn't see it in a 0.5.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's me. I think that if you was to, like, if you wanted me to treat some and send it to you, I would have to vacuum seal it, and you would have to use it right away. Because, just from my experience, now I live by a river. It's kind of humid. No matter what I do, I fight moisture. So as soon as I get done messing with the heat, that thing draws moisture. Like that's what it's designed for.
Well, the one thing I can do well with TPU is print the first layer.
Right. If you got that, the whole thing is going to be fine if you could do that.
First layer comes out great. Everything after that is just kind of a stringy mess. Let's see, I've got a
like retraction
TPU.
Distance problems. I get boogers from retraction.
Here, you're not going to see this for shit, but here's a terrible TPU print. This is like the second TPU print I did recently. But I was having extruder problems. I've changed extruders since then, and it did actually work a lot better. But it's just ugly. I wanted to print a few things like the gimbal guards for my controller. I got one of those here. And this one actually came out pretty decent. A few blobs here and there, but that's just because I'm on a Bowden, and there's only so much you can do with retraction before you're pulling the filament right out of the hot end.
Right.
But it's not bad. It came out like this. It's pretty clean. There's a few blobs on these little edges here, but it's strong. It's solid.
I know
the bottom layer looks great. Top layer, it's kind of missing a few chunks. Had to increase the overlap.
everything that I don't care how it turns out prints amazing. Everything that I want.
This was also printing without a part cooling fan at all. There was none when I did this one. So I figure the next TPU print will probably be pretty decent because I installed the part cooling fan on it.
I have one other little project I was working on if you guys are interested. Say, I know this looks silly. This is actually like a drone frame that I found on Thingiverse and used the arms off of it. These are like foot pegs. You put your feet on there. And you've got a thumb throttle. Oh, and of course, hot glued together because that's my backup 3D printer, as my buddy would say. But it's got X-Lite guts in it and crossfire capable. And what I did is I, for the life of me, couldn't get the programming right on the XYZ for a stable gimbal. So I have a flight controller in here and I'm using cam stab, and I went ahead and made it turn like a bicycle. So you put this on the ground, you put your feet on it. Your feet help you find center when you're in your goggles. So oddly enough, it gives you pretty cool spatial awareness. Feels like you're sitting on it.
But I like that. It's like a flight simulator,
Yeah, but so far you're not flying freestyle and getting crazy with that without a whole bunch of tweaking. I mean, obviously the flight controller that I'm using for the cam stabs on the bottom, and that sets your resolution. I'd much rather have it on something you could slide up and down the pole. So it's a quick adjustment. So your pivot point would be in a different spot, and that changes how it's going to respond. Everything with freestyle, if you're trying to do it, kind of snappy, and that'd be a knee knocker, But it's just something I made, something to mess with, I guess.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, as a kind of innovative controller, maybe you could just go farther with it, like separate the foot section from the hand section.
Yeah. I want it to be foldable pegs. I know that sounds weird. So you could, it's a sit down thing right now. It could be.
What is it? The DJIs, they have the little hand controller now, right? The motion controller.
I was so bummed. I started this like 2 years ago, and then they come out with that. That makes sense, but that's not very intuitive when you got your eyeballs covered to hold your hand out.
Well, what's funny about it is I had a drone almost 10 years ago that had a phone app, and the thing connected over Wi-Fi, and it used your phone's gyro. So you just held your phone and you just moved it around, and you could fly it that way. And then seeing the DJI thing is like, I already had one of those a long time ago.
Right.
The
problem I was having with when I started doing this, first I did a handheld thing, and I didn't really care for it because you already have your goggles down. You tend to most people tend to kind of look down, and you see them looking all weird when they're trying to fly because
that blank face. They all get that blank stare, like they're not there anymore.
Right. Like the 1984 TV stare.
Mm-hmm.
But with the thing that you put your feet on, you can actually let go of it. If it would hold throttle, and how it's sitting because you can feel it with your legs. You're not using your feet to really control it, but because they're on there, you can feel that center. It's almost like the spring return on your gimbal sticks, and it oddly gives you a weird, more intuitive feel. Now it's not.
When you fly
when
you fly just like an airplane, an actual airplane, your feet are controlling a lot.
Yeah, your rudder.
Yeah, you have your feet on there. You're up and down, left and right, you're pushing them like this, or the feet up and down a bit, and it makes sense. I mean, it's your other two extremities that you can move and control stuff with. Yeah, I thought that thing was pretty cool when you were showing that to me a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was all weird. I'm more afraid of
do you,
ridicule than anything, I guess. But who cares?
Have you taken it out to fly with it much?
Just a whoop. Actually, when I finished it, it was still cold.
Can you bind it to anything? Like it's got the guts from a normal transmitter.
My
in
Crossfire.
It, right?
I just put my Crossfire in it. So
sweet.
Everything that I have Crossfire on, I had a Mobula 7. Actually, just sent the parts to a guy up north, Ohio. But I had Crossfire on a Mobula 7 HD, and that was my guinea pig.
Nice.
It did okay, but I wasn't all excited making videos or anything yet, but it worked, it functioned. And
now, the feet on it, you said that gives you your rotation. That's your left and right.
No, that gives you something to hold steady so you can move the handlebars left and right. That's a flaw in the design. You need a magnometer because you need yaw to run off of that versus you need it to be static.
Okay.
Because it's not static, it's really not cool. But
you could have it be shorter and just have it like resting on your leg or something, right? Or on a table in front of you.
It could be in your lap. I was just trying to work with what I had. The neighbor threw out an electric scooter, and that was the T handle off the electric scooter.
Nice.
So I seen it. I was like, yeah, I'll try that. So I snatched it. The handlebars are hot pink. I didn't paint them that color. It's the way they came. And I thought, well, that's cool enough, So I added some red and whatever.
I think it's really cool. In our group, a lot of the people are making various, portable electronics. That's, it's the main thing that we build are these portable computers, and the form factor. That's always the thing that we're really playing with is, changing up the form factor, or like making a wrist mounted giant gauntlet with controls on it, or one of the guys that stopped by earlier, Zach Friedman, he's made several wrist mounted computers that are pretty cool.
That guy's awesome. I've seen his show a few times, man. That's a cool channel.
Yeah. He's one of our favorite makers there. He does some awesome videos, and he comes and graces us with his presence on occasion. And I was just watching his latest one, his wrist mounted thing. It's got a VFD display on it, which is like unobtainium. He also has this like data glove thing, and I was thinking, man, this would be a cool controller. Like, move your fingers in and out for throttle, just like when you're grabbing the throttle on a motorcycle or on a little scooter or whatever, and maybe have it be both hands, so some kind of mixing between the two.
Yeah, I was thinking two things you put in your pockets. Like in the wintertime when you're wearing a jacket, you just have one in each side, and you got a gimbal on each thumb, and control like that.
I saw that they've got that big goofy hand warmer thing. You put your controller in, and then you put your hands in it. And I was just thinking, I wouldn't want to have my hands like stuck in this thing while flying. On occasion when something comes flying at you.
We have split keyboards, so we could also do split controllers, I think. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, the Nintendo Wii, it has that split, motion controller. You could definitely do something like that.
Yeah, my biggest problem, or well, one of the big hurdles in this little controller project was, I'm using X-Lite guts for the radio, so I just bought one off of YouTube or off of eBay, tore it apart. But all my signals are coming in digital, or I need to go digital to analog, analog to digital. And I ordered some boards off of Amazon. I ordered some stuff that just didn't work out, and I was getting frustrated. So oddly enough, instead of tapping into the potentiometer on the servo, I used the magnet and the Hall sensor off of the actual gimbals from the radio, and I put them on a servo. So the servos are ran off of the cam stab. So as you're moving the flight controller around, it's like it thinks it's trying to level a camera,
Oh,
And then
that's cool.
You're getting position off the magnets that are spinning on the end of the servo against the original house sensor.
That's like a very analog way of converting something, you know?
Yeah, it seemed kind of chunky and odd, but a couple quick 3D prints and it works. So, you know.
I mean, that's the thing. You do it works, you know?
Yeah.
And Hall effect sensors is like, you know, the most high-tech thing ever. So,
That's a
you
trip.
know.
Yeah, and if you're ordering them, make sure you order linear.
Oh, well, you don't have to worry about that. You can't buy them anymore. Everything's out of stock.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
One of our members in the group, Riskable, he's made mechanical keyboard switches. They're all completely 3D printed, and his circuit board has Hall effect sensors all along it. So the keycaps and the switches and everything, you can just lift them right off. They just stick on with magnets. You pop whatever you want on there, and but he can't get the Hall effect sensors. You know, he's having trouble sourcing them now. It sucks. Like, there's so many boards people make that are just
figure out what else they're in and buy that and take it out of there.
Well, and that's the hard part with like little surface mount parts like that, and the things that they're in, of course, are expensive because they're Hall effect sensors and they're used in expensive stuff.
My little friend group here in my town, everybody knows what I collect, and they're like, "Hey, I found this thing. Can you use this?" Or I don't need this electronic anymore. And I wind up with boxes of stuff I eventually got to throw away. But
I had the same problem collecting them from working IT. Just, you know, you go install some new equipment and you're left with the old equipment and you don't really want to get rid of it, but then you're just like, well, what am I actually going to do with it?
Yeah, and keeping burnt electronics for a donor board that's in a 10 by 12 shed is not such an awesome idea in the summertime, because I have air conditioning I put in the window in here, but I'm only turning it on when I'm out here, so it's an oven until I get out of here, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I have that same problem trying to store my stuff outside in Arizona. You know, I gave up trying to, you know, I'd move it in when summertime hit. I'd bring the crates back in, and it's just like, this just doesn't work. Anything I'm leaving out there is just getting destroyed.
I'm insulating. I don't know if you can see it back there. I got some wood planks for the ceiling. I got half of the ceiling done above me, of course, not behind me. And then that's like some kind of insulating bubble wrap.
Okay.
I put that up, and then there's styrofoam behind that. So maybe.
Yeah, it's a nice little workshop. I really am envious of that. I'm stuck with just kind of an indoor shop, and limited in what I can do in here.
Yeah, I just, you know, if you have a space that you can, because it doesn't matter. This isn't inside my house. I don't have to worry about tearing a wall up or whatever. So I just ask people, hey, you got any insulation left over from this job site or whatever? Piece it together, and you get to have your little hobby shop without a bunch of cost. There's some things that I bought, but like my diamond plate, I have diamond plate up against my wall behind where I work.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
That started out as I needed a heat barrier for my air gun, because when you're done using it and you set it down, it wants to burn the place down, so you need something behind it, you know. But yeah, I don't have a lot of money in this. I don't mean to keep turning my computer around, guys, but if you can see it.
And you said you had to turn down the lighting. You showed me your lighting the other day, and
I don't think I have enough cable room.
It looked like it was pretty good. Did you build your lighting fixtures in there?
No, I bought those at Menards. I'm trying to get to that filing cabinet. I'm tied to the Cat 5 cable here. But that's
your tool wall there is much more organized than mine.
Yeah, that's a mess. I took a 5-drawer filing cabinet, and I took the top 2 drawers out of it, and I put a board in there and put my 3D printer in there. And then I got a little piece of diamond plate for a door. I open and close that. It controls my temperature. LED light in there. That's
nice.
Basically a giant heat sink that helps heat it up if I need it. But pretty much that was a donor. I mean, pretty much everything's free if you can be patient and wait. You can do the hobby cheap enough, and spend all your money on the good gear.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But I built this desk here, and I just went and bought some 3/4 birch ply, and I didn't go buy a whole sheet. I went and looked around, and yeah, sure enough, they had 3/4 birch ply in their scrap pile because the ends were, missing a couple chunks,
Right.
just a bad quality piece of it. And that's great because it was 8 feet long, and I wanted a 7-foot desk. And when I cut off the ends that were bad, it was perfect. So I got it for 50 or 60% off the list price, and so I think I only paid like $20 for this whole sheet.
Not now. Have
And-
you?
This wasn't that long ago. This was only a few months ago.
Yeah, now a sheet of plywood, a sheet of birch plywood. I believe you'd have to.
Arizona,
To get it.
Arizona, the prices haven't gone up. They're exactly what they
Really?
were. Yep, hasn't hit us at all, which I
There's
find
gotta be
funny
a lot of gouging then.
because everyone keeps talking about it. Being like the price of gold and stuff, and I'm just like, really? Because I just bought some, and it's not a big deal.
I think wood prices in Germany also became kind of high.
I mean, it's going to get really high when the Amazon turns into a Sahara desert, and there's no more wood available to go cut down. I mean, they're working on it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could change it. I really do. I try to do my part locally right here at my house, but I mean, you know what I mean? I'm going to have to pay $90 for plywood, I guess, is all I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Plywood
you're
is-
in. I'm
Plywood
sorry,
is
Player
supposed to be
2?
cheap. Yeah.
Is that you? You're in Germany?
Yeah, we're both in Germany,
we
Max.
both.
Oh,
And-
okay. Had no idea. Sorry. I'm in
Yeah,
Ohio,
it's,
United
no
States,
worries.
by the way.
No worries.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost.
but yeah,
30 minutes
I'm
after
going
midnight.
to. I'm going to go probably because I still have to eat something.
Yeah, and I've got to work tomorrow. And
Yeah, and we're at 2.5 hours, so it's about time to sign off
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I didn't mean to take up the chat. I didn't hear much from
No,
the other
that's-
guys, but-
no.
worry.
And
That's what I invited you for,
Yeah,
so we could
yeah.
see the cool shit you've been making.
oh, well, I appreciate it. But yeah, it was great meeting everybody, and I feel a little more comfortable now. I'm not so nervous. I guess it doesn't matter. Like I said, hello world. This is me, Bullfrog.
Yeah.
My name, my
Yeah,
real
and
name is
then,
Jeremiah, by the way. If that didn't make sense, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. So
Mine is Max. Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah, JD here, and that's Luigi.
Yeah, well, this has been fun. Thanks for the invite, and I guess I need to show up on the Discord and maybe post more. I don't really know the etiquettes of the Discords, and I try to keep up, but I just have to catch up with what everybody does. And if I post something in the wrong place, just tell me, and I'll put it somewhere else, I guess.
They're pretty self-explanatory. No one. It's not too difficult. Sometimes you get people who just post on like every single thing that's posted and reply to every single thing, and that gets annoying.
In the gallery.
Yeah, in the
I
gallery.
just need to spend more time. I've only been on there for like 5 or 10 minute bursts, so I'm not really.
Discord's
Yeah.
cool though. It's a nice platform. It can get a little hectic if there's too many people in one spot. But I like it. It's a nice way to do things, and the search function is actually very good, and you can find a lot of resources. Like you go to ask a question, you're like, wait, let me look, and then it's like, oh, hey, there it is.
Right.
It's pretty nice.
And,
And go ahead.
the Cyberdeck Cafe Discord is also not as big as other Discords, so it's easier to keep track of, I think. There are different Discord channels I'm also
It's
on.
not
and-
the quantity; it's the quality.
Yeah. There's much
We are the
quality, but
best
not-
Discord. No offense to Buck and his Discord, but we have the best Discord.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me. The invite was great, and I guess I'll see you guys on there. I
Yep,
don't know.
and you can come back again too.
Yep.
Depending on what we have for guests and stuff, usually what we do is the first 45 minutes to an hour will be like if we have a specific guest that has a specific topic to show, to talk about, and then the back half of the show is usually just open for everybody to jump in. Like for today, we invited a bunch of people and not everyone's available, and so like today you are our special guest, and then on the back half of the show we'd have
Special
anyone
ed
else
music.
join in that wants to. So that's what we do every week. Well, we try to do this every week. Sometimes you're just busy, and yeah, it's every Sundays now too. We've moved days a couple times, and we'll see how Sundays work out. This was our first official Sunday stream for technical difficulties. Surprisingly, very few technical difficulties today. The name came about because there's all these problems getting this thing to work.
I had plenty for everybody up to the point. That's why I was late. And I was like, of course. And I even had a friend ask me to help him put a fuel pump back in his gas tank. And I was like, yeah, no, But yeah, do I just hit leave studio? That's the end of it.
Yep. I'll just drop you out here. And yeah, thanks for coming in. And I'll chat with you on Discord later.
Have a great day.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, guys.
Hopefully, I'm at my real place next time because
We'll see.
Yeah, nice. All right, I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, see ya.
And if anyone's still watching, we'll put Luigi's music set up separately because I can't get it to work through StreamYard. Audio note doesn't play when I play a video here, so.
That's a technical.
That was a technical difficulty. I was just gonna leave that one out for the day, but we got to have one.
Yeah.
And like, comment, and subscribe for the 13 people watching. I better get 13 likes here and no dislikes.
Where is he? I should also like this.
I already.
Yes, people on the show, don't forget to like the show that you're on. I can like my own channel too, so that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.